Alright, so, I don't even know where to begin. I have a lot of stuff to talk about. I just want to be clear on something. I am recording this the day of all the big announcements. I am actually about a week or two ahead on basically all of my other YouTube uploads, but you're going to be getting this video basically the day after I've recorded it. And that's because I needed to interrupt the planned upload schedule I have, just because I really got to address a lot of these new, changes and stuff. It's just so impactful and important, and it's going to cause, so many different changes for me and for the game. I needed to talk about it now, and I figured a fun thing to do while doing that is I'm going to finish leveling my Druid, which I have at 55. I actually had originally deleted this Druid, and I just character restored it, and I'm going to do Threads of Fate. So, Threads of Fate, I'm ready to choose my fate. Almost naturally click that. Alright, here we go, I'm locked in. So I gotta do this. I get to go pick, Night Fae. That's fun. Now, wow, where do I start, right? There's a lot, right? There are so many changes. Now, first thing I do want to say is I'm going to start off I'll start off with something that none of you really know about, because it's something that's only happening with me, but I still think it's not maybe important for the entire WoW community, but important for people that are interested in WoW speedrunning. So, I've talked about this before, but I've been having an on and off discourse with the moderators on speedrun.com, and lately, I tried to bring up the point of, I think that there needs to be much more consistent, action, I guess, in terms of how they moderate their speedruns and how they do the rule sets. And the exact message that I sent, so here, I'm getting, kind of distracted. Let me put Convoke on my bars and other stuff. Where is it? Convoke the spirits over here, and then we get Soul Shape over here. And I'm just gonna hop right into it. Gonna queue for random dungeons. We're just gonna be doing dungeon leveling because I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you are doing Threads of Fate, the only reliable way to get through it is dungeon leveling. World quests are not efficient at all, but that might change, and that's something I'm going to talk about. Also, why are names are not showing? Weird. Oh yeah, I was getting a thumbnail. Right. So, as you can see, obviously, this is going to be very impromptu, informal kind of thing. That's just kind of how it's going to go. I can't sit here and do a very tightly edited video, or it's not going to come out in a relevant amount of time, and I want to make sure that I get my thoughts on this out before I upload a bunch of things, because I do have a basically 4-day-in-a-row upload schedule planned, at least from Sunday through Wednesday. And I'll kind of go into a little bit of detail on that here, but I don't want to interrupt that because there's a very specific reason that I'm getting all those videos out when they're getting out and in the order that they're getting out. So I really only have this one day, namely Saturday, to get this video out. So you're going to have to bear with me a bit as I ramble and do the best that I can. But, okay, so here's the message that I sent. I said, hey, it's been a while, but I just wanted to point out that the run which was recently submitted to the 10 to 60 category uses strategies which are no longer possible in the game. So this run happened, I talked about this before, like I said, but somebody submitted a run which is still up using pre-nerf Timewalking. So if you aren't familiar, because it was a very brief thing, Timewalking experience was absolutely busted for a period of 1 day. And in that 1 day, this guy managed to do a speedrun, which partially used that. As far as I know, he basically got it nerfed in the middle of his run, so he had to adapt. But he was using a lot of pre-nerf Timewalking. That makes his run a solid hour faster than any of the competition. And for the record, I'm not saying this because I'm oh, I want my run to be world record, because I have not submitted a run to this category. I have been discouraged from submitting a run to this category because I'm not going to submit a run if... What are they talking about? I'm not going to submit a run if this category is basically just unregulated and they're just going to allow anybody to do whatever the fuck they want with no regard for the rules. So this is my concern, right? I would love to do official speedruns again. but I'm only going to do official speedruns if speedrun.com has an interest in actually regulating the category. So I messaged about this. Honestly, at this point, that's not even the thing I'm concerned about, right? Because they basically just, like, in their response, they literally said, in terms of this, first of all, they responded 20 days late, which, I mean, I get it. You're not a business, right? You're just people moderating a website. But I think, considering, in terms of WoW speedrunning, I absolutely am one of the bigger WoW speedrunners out there. Like, I'm not saying I'm a big WoW YouTuber, I'm not saying, like, I'm a big WoW content creator, but in terms of speedrun stuff, in terms of submitting to this website and having, like, an active discourse with these moderators, I absolutely am one of the ones that has been doing the most, especially in terms of communication. So 20-day time to respond is a bit absurd. Okay, this got pulled, so just gonna do this. But whatever. Okay, 20-day time. Let's try Convoke. Woo! Convoke's a fun spell. Now, whatever. But they basically said, which run are you talking about? So they don't even understand that something happens, and I already mentioned this before, but the moderator in question, I'm not going to say his name, but he's told me that he basically just turns off the audio, puts runs on 2x speed, barely pays attention, and as long as it's not obviously violating rules, he lets it go. This one is, I guess, technically not obviously violating rules, because there's technically no rule that says you can't do time walking, but the spirit of the rules would imply that you shouldn't allow a run which uses methods that are no longer possible. So they didn't do their due diligence in checking this. But I'm not going to get into this, like I said. This is a very minor side point. The problem that I have is I follow this up by saying, I did mention one more thing I said is, this screws the category for anybody else, so it should probably be taken down to maintain fairness. I agree with that statement. I stand by it, right? And then I said, I also don't understand why the rule sets from 10 to 50 were not copied over to 10 to 60. Both categories are fundamentally the same, so I can't understand why the no grouping rule would not still apply. Because one of the reasons why this guy was able to get such a fast run is because after doing pre-nerf time walking, and he wasn't just doing pre-nerf time walking, he was having his friends carry him through pre-nerf time walking. So then after that, he just had his friends carry him through Shadowlands dungeons. Basically, imagine what I'm doing here right now, but every single person was a level 60 with full Mythic Sanctum of Domination gear. Or I don't know if they had full Mythic, right? But they were geared level 60 characters. So you see here, we have a Boomkin doing 300 damage. This dungeon is still not that slow with a Boomkin doing 300 damage. I'm not knocking this Boomkin. He's a new player, right? Let him do whatever the hell he wants. But this is the natural RNG that you should be accepting when you queue for a random dungeon. And I've said this before, but if spamming random dungeons ends up being the fastest way to level, I just won't speedrun. But I admit that that is the risk that you take. Now, the problem with allowing people to queue with a group of friends, especially level 60 friends, is that you basically open Pandora's box. Because now, every single person who wants to speedrun needs a group of 4 friends who are willing to sit there for 5 hours and carry them through dungeons, and if they don't, well, get fucked, loser, you can't do speedrunning. And that is the situation that we now have, because somebody has done that. Somebody has gone ahead and had their friends carry them through dungeons. So now, you can either try to beat their time by not doing that, or you could just do that exact same thing. And, I mean, I don't really think I need to point out that when your speedrun time is determined by how good your friends are at carrying you, that's just not fucking interesting, right? That should be pretty obvious, but maybe that's just me. So, I think that, at the very least, if you want that to be a category, let that be a category. But the vast majority of people that I know who enjoy speedrunning this game do it because they want to find a fast solo leveling experience. And if you level with friends, the same principles should carry over, right? Like, you don't want to have a boosting scenario, right? There's enough fucking boosting going on in this game that I don't think that leveling speedruns should be determined on who can get boosted the hardest. I think that leveling speedrun should be who is the best at playing the game, who is the best at speedrunning the content and finding the routes. And now, if you want to get together, and this is another thing that I think, so what a lot of what a lot of games do, like, for example, and I'm not even saying this as, I just want to be very clear here. I'm going to use Final Fantasy XIV as an example. I'm not saying this as Final Fantasy XIV, the game, because the game developers have absolutely nothing to do with speedrunning. But the Final Fantasy XIV category moderators, so completely different from the game, completely different from the game developers, just the people who decided that they're going to moderate the category. They have a category for grouping, but their grouping category specifically implies that you need to be running this with a group of people that are leveling with you. For instance, you need to basically make it so all players submit the run, all players submit their point of view of the run, if you are submitting it like that, and all players need to be following the exact same rule set. So, if you're doing a 10 to 50 speedrun, for instance, or in Final Fantasy, obviously, it's not that, right? But I'm giving a WoW comparison. Then every single person you group up with, unless it's from a random dungeon, needs to also be starting at level 10 and finishing at level 50. The timer starts, and the timer starts at level 10 for all players, so nobody gets to start off after having already created their character previously, and the timer ends when the final player hits max level. So in WoW terms, I guess level 60 at this point. I'm still saying 10 to 50 because I'm just used to that. I'm just going to YOLO this door. Sure. And this means that you can reliably do speedruns with your friends, but it's still a balanced rule set amongst all players. And just to be clear, this has nothing to do with the quality of Final Fantasy the game. Final Fantasy the game does not have anything to do with how their speedruns are moderated. This is 100% a player-driven thing, but it goes to show that the people moderating the Final Fantasy XIV leveling speedruns have way more interest in maintaining the integrity of the runs compared to the WoW speedrun moderators, who are just like, yeah, whatever, we're not going to copy over the rule sets. And basically all this to say, he responded, the moderator, to my post saying 10 to 60 is an older category than 10 to 50. So basically what this obviously makes no sense to anybody with a fucking working brain, because obviously the 10 to 60 category is not an older category than the 10 to 50, right? But what he's trying to say is that the category officially, and I looked into this, it is basically a allied race category. So it's something that they've continuously updated, where it's whatever level the allied race starts at, going up to whatever the current max level at the time is. So he's saying that the original category, which I guess used to be 20 to 120, which is functionally identical to 10 to 60 now, is an older category than 10 to 50. So they made 10 to 50 to be a, in their quote, exactly their words, a smaller category. They made it to be a smaller category. So 1 or 10 to max has always been with grouping. So what he's basically saying is that when we had the long discussion months ago about whether or not we should allow grouping and stuff in the original category, and for the record, the original agreement that we came to wasn't that we should ban grouping. He said, hey, I'll make a new category for no grouping. So if people want to do grouping, they still have their category for that. I'll make a brand new category specifically to allow for no grouping, so that if people want to do runs entirely on their own, they can do that. And I was like, hey, that's a great solution. Awesome. And then everybody used the no grouping category, right? Because that's what everybody wants to run with. It basically became an informal meta rule that everybody followed. So, first of all, and I mentioned this after the fact, I say just make a new category, right? But I think this is bullshit logic. So my exact response was, I disagree with your logic. There's nothing fundamentally different between 10 to 50 and 10 to 60, aside from the fact that the level is different in terms of where it ends. Because, I mean, he's saying that basically 10 to 50 is a smaller category, and that's why it has a different rule set. What the fuck is the difference between 10 to 50 and 10 to 60, right? One is just up to the end of Shadowlands, the other was, because it was pre-patched, that was the max level. It was still the competitive category at the time. I could understand if he was saying that 10 to 50 was like a meme category, right? Like, I mean, it's not like we're fucking talking about nipple percent in Mario Odyssey here. Like, this isn't just some joke category. At the time, when I was doing speedruns in pre-patch, 10 to 50 was the main category. That is no fucking debate. That is what everybody was running because that was max level. The main thing that people cared about was how to get their characters to max level efficiently, and so 10 to 50 was the main category. Now, 50 is no longer the max level, so by default, obviously, 10 to 60 is the max category, the main category in that regard. So it has nothing to do with it being a smaller category, because that just doesn't make sense. It's a smaller category, I guess, in the sense that it has a lower level cap, but in terms of importance, it's still the bigger category. There are more people still, to this day, submitting 10 to 50 runs than there are people submitting 10 to 60 runs, because more people would rather do just that speed run. And that's besides the point, but I guess it does counterpoint the fact that he's saying it's a small category. By no means is it a small category. At its time, at its peak, it was the main category, and it is still a popular category that people still submit runs to this day. So that's a fucking retarded point. Like, that is just a dumb, illogical point. But then, to say that just because this one category covers a different level bracket, it should somehow have a completely different rule set, despite it being fundamentally the same. It is just you leveling a character from start to max, with the only difference being that the max is different. Why? Why should there not be these rules? And I should note that there's also no rules against, like, holiday event items. Nobody's done that yet, but you can guarantee that the moment that Hollow's End rolls around, if they don't add those rules that everybody agreed upon, then we're gonna have people going in and getting the magic broom before starting a speedrun. Which was the main thing that I was trying to prevent when I initially campaigned for these rules to be added. So, it's basically just a fucking spit in the face of everybody interested in WoW speedrunning by saying, oh, I know that you all wanted these rules, and I know that we agreed to make these rule changes, but we're only making it for that one category, which is a smaller category, despite the fact that that's not fucking true in any sense of the word. So for the main category now, you can go fuck yourself, we're not going to do any sort of official moderation, and we're not going to actually carry over the rules changes that we made a while ago. And this fucking pisses me off, because I initially wanted to get back into WoW speedrunning, but at this point, I fucking can't, right? This is why I've been doing informal speedruns. This is why I've been doing shit like, oh, let's see if I can do a speedrun on the budget, right? Because at least that I can provide entertaining and, you know, I guess, knowledgeable content on how to, you know, save money while speedrunning and stuff. Whether or not I can actually do something impressive, like getting the world record. But at this point, it's like, if they don't clean up their fucking act, if the moderators don't wake up, and if they don't start changing things, we're just going to reach a scenario where speedrun.com for WoW is a total fucking joke, where only runs that go against every single, you know, informally agreed upon rule are submitted, and then everybody's going to have to, within the community, judge their own world records based on what's acceptable. Because I don't think that any of you guys, hey, let me know in the comments if you disagree, right? If you genuinely want to see a speedrun that's like, yes, I want to see who can get carried the most efficiently or something. Like, I would prefer if speedrunning was literally just people getting boosted, right? If that's what you think, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear it. But I think for basically most of you, and once again, let me know if you agree with this, because I want to make sure that I'm not fucking crazy, right? But if you agree with me that speedrunning should be about the individual, you know, individually trying to lower your time, individually trying to make it so you can min-max your route and make it like, so, I'm getting a bit rambly, right? It should be about the player. It shouldn't be about who you know. Your individual skill should be tested, not your skill at... okay, there, I got the Plague Fall quest, now I can queue. Yeah, individual skill should be tested, not your skill at grouping with other people. And I also think if you're going to do a grouping category, it should be like the Final Fantasy grouping category, where it's you level with other people. You don't have other people carry you through leveling. Because, I mean, honestly, I think there's two parts to that, right? One, like I said, it should be about the individual. It should be my skill tested against the other runner's skills. Right? It shouldn't be my skill tested against how good the friends who are boosting that other runner are. And personally, I mean, I just find it a little bit fucking ironic and a bit in bad taste that a lot of the skill tied to how leveling works right now, or at least speedrun.com leveling works, is tied to boosting. Because God knows there's a big enough fucking boosting problem in the game right now. So the last fucking thing that we need is to have speedruns, which should be the ultimate test of skill in terms of leveling, be decided by getting fucking boosted. That's just so antithetical to what a speedrun should be that I hate it. I fucking hate it, and I fucking hate these stupid fucking moderators who are so unwilling to actually get their fucking heads out of their asses and make a logical fucking decision. Like, I said this before and I'll say it again. Either do the fucking job you signed up for or step down. I get it, it's a volunteer position. Nobody's paying you for this. But if you don't want to actually do the due diligence required to moderate your fucking speedrun category, then step the fuck down and let somebody else do it who actually gives a shit, right? God. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking about that because I basically beat in every point into the ground. And I did need to get that off my chest because, first of all, I talked about this in a speedrun a while ago. I've been waiting 20 days to get that response. 20 fucking days! I just got that response today at the time of recording, and it's a fucking slap in the face. So, I've been a bit frustrated with that, right? And it's kind of put a damper on my mood, because everything I'm going to talk about from here on is honestly pretty positive, right? All the changes that happens leveling, they're good fucking changes. I mean, you're not going to hear me complaining. I'm going to make minor suggestions and feedback on what I think they can do better, but overall, my take in terms of the changes that Blizzard's making, round of a fucking applause, Blizzard. Good shit. Now, here's the thing. Disclaimer. Obviously, they're too late, right? These changes should have been sooner. And I know some people are going to sit here and try to make a point and say, we shouldn't be giving them applause. We shouldn't be, patting them in the back for making late changes. And on one hand, I agree with you. And I also, I watched Bellular's stream, right? And I thought it was really funny because basically he was just shredding Blizzard on the wording they used, right? And yeah, the whole fucking bullshit narrative of like, oh, well, the reason that we waited this long to make Covenant swapping a thing is because we needed to make the Covenants ally amongst themselves, and now that the narrative is about the Covenants working together to take down the Jailer, we can sufficiently say that it's okay for players to swap Covenant. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, look, if you want to add a good feature and make it so people can freely swap between Covenants, just do that, right? Like, it's almost to the point where if they had just said nothing and been like, yep, we're making this change, it would have been better than them saying, well, this is why we think that at this time it's sufficient for us to make this change. Like, just stop. Quit while you're ahead, Blizzard. And I get it. These guys have, like, egos the size of the fucking moon. They need to preserve it somehow. They need to maintain what little dignity they have left by trying to act like, well, this was all part of our plan. Like, we initially thought we were going to maintain Covenants and make it a meaningful choice, but, now that the narrative shifted to a sufficient way, like, okay, whatever. Like, I get it. I get that they're trying to maintain their dignity. And you know what? I'm not going to sit here and shit talk that. I do think it's amusing, and I will say that, yes, trust me, if you're coming in here with the mentality of like, oh, well, yeah, they should have made these changes earlier, I absolutely fucking agree with you. I've been campaigning for these changes since fucking Shadowlands launched. I had the Covenant spreadsheet. I started the discourse on this shit. I was the one who basically was campaigning for Pull the Ripcord. I had my fucking things listed out there. I was basically trying to constantly raise awareness at how imbalanced this shit was until people like Asmongold took notice, and then he would do shit like bring up my stream, or not, my spreadsheet on his stream, right? And I mean, once we got to there, they actually had to make a response, and unfortunately their response was basically telling us to fuck off, right? But yeah, I've been trying to get this shit done for a long fucking time. I'm 100% with you there, and this is like really annoying that it came this late. But look, I've said this before and I'll say it again. We need to take what we can get. At this point, I will take little wins. I will gladly sit here and say, whatever, right? You waited this long, it should have been sooner, but you got the job done. And that's what matters. That's, at the end of the day, the only thing that matters to me. All I give a shit about is that when everything's said and done, the game is better. And you know what? The game's going to be better as a result of these changes. Nobody will disagree with that. And that's good, right? We need that. Shadowlands needed a change. I've already said that I thought 9.1 was the worst that WoW has ever been. I will stand by that. And I think 9.1.5 is going to be a massive, massive shift in quality. And thank God. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty, because obviously there's a lot to talk about here. But I did want to address that quick, because I know there's going to be some people of, oh, you shouldn't be applauding Blizzard. Like, yeah, Blizzard, shit company, right? We all know everything that's been going on there. Is the announcement too late? Yeah, a little bit. It's a bit too late. But it's something, right? I'm not going to sit here and, like, spit on the announcement and be like, I reject Blizzard. I reject their attempts to make the game better. Just because I want to be a prideful little shit and act like any change isn't good change. So, now let's get into the details of it. So, I have the entire thing pulled up here. We have Covenant updates. So, players who reach max renown for their Covenant will be able to freely switch among any of the 4 Covenants without cooldown. Great. This, obviously, is really, really important for a specific number of classes. Now, the one example that I've seen a lot of people bringing up, and it definitely is a good example, is Paladin. So, pretty much, I think both Holy Paladin and Prot Paladin are probably the 2 biggest ones that benefit from this, and because those are both within a single spec. So, at the moment, for pushing Mythic Plus, I believe, I could be wrong in this, but I believe that Kyrian is better for both HPAL and ProtPal. Or at least it's, like, very, very, very competitive to the point where a lot of people prefer running it. But it's no secret that within raids, Kyrian, or, Venthyr is the best pick for, Guardian, or, why am I saying Guardian? Sorry, my brain's fucked. I'm trying to, like, pay attention to doing all this shit while also giving commentary on this one. But it's the best for Prot, by far. It's the best for Holy in any practical scenario. If you're a Holy Paladin and you think that Kyrian's better for raids, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's bad. I know it's absolutely viable. I have played with Kyrian HPALs, and they do perfectly good HPS. But just because it's viable doesn't mean it is the better pick. In a lot of scenarios, Ashen Hollow is not just the better, damage contribution pick or the damage or the healing overall pick, but having an Ashen Hollow to basically put down during a big, dangerous mechanic and basically just cover raid healing for that entire mechanic, it's basically like Miss Pandaria Tranquility, right? It's just not even comparable. It's so valuable that people saying that, oh, you don't need to be a Venthyr HPAL, clearly have not really done serious mythic progress. So that's going to be a huge change, right? You're obviously going to have some people still playing Kyrian if they really want to, but I think a lot of people that really, really like doing Mythic Plus and prefer Kyrian for Mythic Plus are now going to find themselves swapping to Venthyr for raid scenarios, and that's great. One of the main reasons I was holding off on playing a Protection Paladin is because I know that in some Mythic Plus scenarios, I would have to run Divine Soul, but I would basically be forced to run Ashen Hollow for raids. So this makes my decision a lot easier. I'm going to work on my Prot Pally, and by the time that I can actually meaningfully play it in Mythic Raid content, because it's not even max level yet, the patch will likely be out, meaning that I can freely swap between the two. So, good shit. Also, Conduit Energy is being removed. Good. I've never really had this issue, because I've been lucky enough to have, like, soulbinds that, like, for me, Arms uses Dreamweaver, right? And Prot uses Nia, so it was really never a concern for me on any of the characters that I seriously played. But it is a good change, obviously. Conduit Energy is a terrible thing, should never have been in the game. I don't need to tell you that, you already know that. Then, the one thing that I kind of dislike, right, is the whole, you have to hit max renown, or whatever. Bellular put it pretty nicely. He said that he thinks it should be at, like, 60 renown or something. Basically, once you complete the Chains of Domination campaign, you can do that. Yeah, sure. I also think that especially because going along with that, now, once you complete the Covenant campaign, you'll be able to skip it on future characters. So now completing the entire Chains of Domination campaign won't require you to actually do your entire Covenant campaign on a new character. You just need to do all of the new quests, which, I mean, they're annoying, but they're not that bad. So, okay, fine. I'll take that change. That's good. Now, overall, I mean, it's obviously a really good change, Covenant swap, right? I don't know. I do think that this one especially should have come earlier, but yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and talk about that, right? Like, I think it would just be kind of disingenuous to try and make a big deal out of Blizzard finally changing the Covenant swapping thing when I've been asking them to change Covenant swapping. All I'll say, I guess on this note, is Blizzard, I really hope that this reflects a new trend going forward for you guys, right? Like, I know nobody from Blizzard's going to watch this, but I do still want to express my thoughts, right? I'm kind of looking at this not necessarily in the sense of this is a last-second decision, because if you think about it, right, like account-wide essence swapping or like a lot of the really good quality of life, like Azerite power shit that we received was at the very tail end of BFA. Now, I know a lot of people think that 9.3 is probably going to be scrapped, and I'm kind of in that boat. I honestly don't think straight to boss. I'm not going to try to do fucking invis strats in a normal run, man. That is not something I'm willing to do. We're just going to do a big pull here. Alright. So, the way I see this is they're doing a big change, because this is a huge change for them. This is a complete 180 on their fundamental stated, like, dug-in design values at the start of Shadowlands. They're making this change pretty early. And that tells me that they're probably going to start making these changes more frequently going forward. Like, if we actually give reasonable feedback over the course of, like, a beta or, like, launch, they might actually make a shift with this stuff. I just want to be clear on something, Blizzard, in case you ever watch this, which you probably won't. No players will be upset if you, in the middle of a tier, decide, hey, let's change this. Within reason, right? Like, obviously, if during the first 2 weeks of progress, they decided to do this, and it, like, negatively affected the World First race, like, okay, yeah, that would probably be pretty bad. But I think, honestly, outside of the World First race, like, nobody really cares about this. And by that I mean, like, if you do these changes once the World First race is over. I worded that poorly, making it seem like people who aren't participating don't care. No, this applies to everybody. What I mean is, the only way that implementing changes like this will have a negative impact is if you do it, like, right in the first weeks of a raid, where it will impact the World First race, or in the weeks directly leading up to a raid. Like, imagine if they had done this, like, the week or two before Sanctum of Domination. That would have fucked Limit and Echo's planning. They would have had to scramble to, like, figure out whether they needed to Covenant swap between bosses. It would have been a whole thing. So I think as long as you don't do it then, fine. But, like, this change, for instance, could have come out basically the moment that Limit and Echo were done proccing on Sylvanas. Maybe wait for, like, the top 5 builds or something. But, I mean, obviously this should have been in Athria, right? This should have been early. I think the reality of what I'm trying to say is nobody cares about changes happening as long as those changes are intended to benefit the players. And this is obviously intended to benefit the players. So if we had seen this change, like, basically a few weeks into Nathria after, you know, Limit had already killed the boss and everything was already, like, over, everybody would just be like, okay, cool. Right. That's great. You know, you tried it for the first few weeks. There's been negative reception for all of beta, for all of launch. Whatever. You know, you're doubling back on it. Because, like, as Bellular said, there is absolutely no narrative reason why this could not have happened at launch. The whole excuse of the story just doesn't make sense. So, all this to say, we want these kind of changes, just do them sooner next time. Now, I get it. People have been saying this for a while. People are going to be like, yeah, right, they won't listen. I'm hoping they're going to start listening this time. I'm hoping that all the shit that's happening at Blizzard right now, both with WoW performing poorly and obviously the lawsuit, it's going to make them kick their asses into high gear and realize, okay, we need to actually start making changes that make our players trust us more. And that's it, really. Now, my general rule of thumb is don't implement garbage systems like this in the first place. You're setting yourself up to fail. I don't want Convoke the Spirits. I don't want a Covenant ability. I just want to play a Druid, or a Monk, or a Paladin, get my spells that I learn while leveling up, and then learn my class, learn that rotation, get some gear, and enter raid. One of the biggest issues that I'm having now on my Survival Hunter, because I am playing a Survival Hunter, little hint at what to come, is I really, really, really want to get into raids more, but the process of gearing up and getting ready to enter raids is taking me so long that I feel like at this point it's going to be weeks before I can actually be remotely competitive. Why? Because I have a million different systems that I need to progress through, and it's just extremely exhausting when I've already done it on one character. So this is good, but it doesn't solve the problem that this is still going to be a bit problematic going forward in expansions if you keep releasing systems like this. I feel like they have this mentality where they feel like they need to constantly reinvent the wheel. They're constantly chasing that next big thing. It's like, how are we going to reinvent WoW this expansion? Blizzard, nobody is asking you to reinvent WoW. You are literally creating problems for yourself. We would all be happy with new dungeons, minor class changes to maintain balance and, make things interesting, and new zones and content to explore. If you took out all of the developer resources that went into all of these new systems and put all of that development time and work into making new content, making new dungeons, making new things for people to do, like, remember the Chromie scenario? Remember little one-off shit like that? We may have forgotten about it now, but I love doing that Chromie scenario. That was fun as fuck. Do more stuff like that. And there's another thing I'm going to talk about later on when we get to it, which is play into your strengths, right? What is WoW's absolute biggest strength? Why am I getting called? Fucking phone. Alright. Out of here, phone. Just chucked it across the room. So, what is WoW's absolute biggest strength? It's basically library of content, right? If I click this button, Adventure Guide, and I look here, look at how many expansions there are there. Click on Classic. Look at all this shit. Look at all this stuff here. You have so much content in your game. You have a massive, like, 18-year backlog of content. I don't know how to express this. Use it, right? Fucking use it. Your biggest strength, and you are barely dipping into it. Like, I don't know why they think that if they reuse old content, or let players engage with old content, like, we would criticize them. Blizzard, if you make it so, like, you basically, all you do is you rehash an old dungeon, right? Like, basically make Legion Timewalking, or, well, I'll get into Legion Timewalking, but yeah, make Legion Timewalking last longer, right? Make all the Timewalkings last longer, add more dungeons to the pool, make it so there's, like, older Mythic Plus versions, which, I'm gonna be honest, cannot possibly take that much development time when all you need to do is numbers tuning and minor updates to the back end to make it so that these dungeons can be done in Mythic Plus. That's all you need to do. Now, I'll get into that when I talk about Mythic Plus, because trust me, I have a lot I need to talk about. But for Covenant updates, good shit. Love to see it. Now, character customization. Obviously, this is not really my thing, so I'm going to kind of skip over it. All I will say, I play a shit ton of Lightforged and Nightborn. Well, actually, here's the thing. I play a shit ton of Lightforged. If you've seen a lot of my videos, you probably already know that. Coffee real quick. Alright, just chug the rest of my coffee. I'm good to go. So, if you've seen my videos, you know I play a shit ton of Lightforged. So, obviously, I'm really excited for this. It's by far my favorite allied race, both on Alliance and Horde. It's pretty much one of the only reasons I actually have Alliance characters, because I like Lightforged as a race so much that I basically exclusively play them when I play Alliance characters, unless I need to do something like Coultier and Druid for a speedrun, right? So, Lightforged are my jam. Really happy to see them getting more customization, because that was kind of a problem that I was running into when making new characters. I just wasn't really sure how else to customize my different characters because there were so few options. So, honestly, you know, even though I'm not like a yeah, art and customization guy. Like, obviously I think it's important, but that's never been what my channel's been about. But I will say, I'm excited for this. You've seen me level Lightforged Draenei before. You know I like playing them. Good shit. Now, Nightborn, man. So I love the Nightborn, right? The Nightborn were the allied race that I was the most excited about. As I said, Lightforged are my favorite, but they were not my favorite before they came out. I was pumped about Nightborn. I was so excited. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna level so many Nightborn. I'm gonna have a million of these fuckers. I loved Suramar. I've already talked in previous videos about how much I love the Suramar story. I thought it was awesome. I loved the Nightborn's design. I was so ready to play a bunch of them. And then they looked so fucking derpy. And I just could not get into it. It did not mesh with me at all. So I've already oh wait, no, I haven't. So this is where the problem comes in. Like a week ago, I recorded a video talking about how I plan on leveling a Nightborn character, but I just realized that the video where I talk about that is not being uploaded until Monday. So yeah, not going to talk about that here, but all I will say is I am going to, at some point, do a Nightborn speedrun. I will not give the details on that, and I was already planning on doing that before these changes got announced, so I'm excited. I think that's awesome. I'm really, really, really glad that they're making these changes to Nightborn. It was desperately needed. Good on you, Blizzard. Absolutely fantastic work there. Nothing bad to say. The new Nightborn changes honestly look good. I think one of the biggest issues was the eyes, and I mean, the eyes look like they've been fixed, right? Cool. Void Elf stuff, cool. Not much of a Void Elf player, so that one, don't really have much to say on. Alright, here we go. Legion Timewalking. So, delve back into Legion dungeons with Legion Timewalking and take on the challenges within. I'm getting so excited, including access to Legion Mythic Plus dungeons. Okay, so Maw of Souls and Cathedral of Eternal Night and Upper Karazhan, I mean, honestly, a lot of them are like some of my favorite dungeons of all time. Maw of Souls is definitely my favorite. Cathedral is probably my second favorite, and I would say, in terms of Mythic Plus dungeons, Upper Kara is my favorite after that. I really hope all three of those are in the pool, by the way. I mean, I have no idea if Blizzard has, like, decided on it yet. They haven't announced anything, to my knowledge. It's going to be, obviously, on PTR next week. So, one thing I can say for sure is I'm going to be heavily testing, Legion Timewalking on PTR. I'm going to be doing, probably videos, maybe even streams covering that. So, I haven't talked about this yet, but I am going to be returning to streaming. I'll give more detail in my video tomorrow, if you're interested. But at some point, I will be doing PTR Legion Timewalking, probably on stream. I'm so excited for that. I literally, like, one of my biggest regrets of, like, or not regrets, I guess, but, like, disappointments with, like, Timewalking was the fact that, like, it wasn't really comprehensive, especially with, like, Mythic Plus and stuff, so I couldn't go back and do, like, older dungeons seriously. It was just, like, one-off thing. But Legion Mythic Plus, so this, obviously, people have been debating, what does this actually mean, right? What this means to me, and what I'm assuming it's going to mean, is that we're going to see, basically, certain dungeons appear in the Mythic Plus pool for that given week, and that's what your key can turn into. So you might get a Maw of Souls Mythic Plus key. And presumably, all of that gear would now scale up to level 60 to, I guess 246. Now, I'm pretty sure that's how it will work, because it wouldn't really make sense for it to work any other way, right? If they're making just Legion Mythic Plus, but for fun, well, that's kind of Timewalking, right? It would be Timewalking, but with affixes. And that just is dumb. I don't know why they would do that. So presumably we're going to get the whole, we actually can get scaled gear from it, which is awesome. Legion trinkets were fucking amazing. Like, I'm so excited to farm a Memento of Angerboda. Oh, God. I miss Memento of Angerboda. There's, like, Eye of Command, right? I mean, I've seen some people being like, oh, God, not farming Eye of Command. Eye of Command was a cool trinket. I don't know, I just like the idea of, like, it's a pure single target trinket, and it's, like, really good in that scenario. I like trinkets like that have, like, a very clear niche. I hate trinkets that are just, like, File of Putrefaction. Like, you have a chance to proc damage. And it's BIS for all scenarios, because the proc is just so fucking good. Like, that's a boring trinket. Eye of Command is cool. You have to, like, actually consider it. And then it's like, well, could I benefit from Eye of Command by passively cleaving, but still maintaining my main target as, like, this one guy so that I could benefit from the buff while still cleaving onto other ads? Like, it's a cool trinket design. I love Eye of Command. If you're not sure what I'm talking about here, let me go to Dungeons, Legion, Return to Karazhan, Vizdoom the Watcher, this thing. So, let me do this poll real quick, because this one's hard. Eye of Command. Your melee auto attacks increase your crit by, obviously, it would scale, for an X amount, stacking up to 10 times, but the effect is reset if you auto attack a different target. So basically what this means is that right now, my druid is auto attacking a single target. But I can still use, like, Thrash and stuff and hit multiple targets and get that benefit. But let's say there was a scenario where I constantly needed to target swap. Well then, in that case, Eye of Command suddenly isn't very good because I'm constantly dropping my stacks. It's obviously very good on a pure single target fight. But Eye of Command was very good in a lot of cases because you could basically sit on a single target and cleave onto nearby enemies, maintaining the buff. And at that point, it was just a very good crit stat stick. But it's a crit stat stick that you actually have to put thought into using, which is brilliant. I love the design of this trinket. Now, Ring of Collapsing Futures is another one that I think is really cool. Like, a lot of Legion items had really cool effects. It was a ring that the stat budget, I mean, obviously it's kind of hard to tell, right? Because, you know, you don't know how it scales. But the stat budget on this, you can take my word for it if you didn't play Legion, is the same as any other ring at that item level. So it was just a ring with that stat budget that had a bonus on use effect on it. Which is, it's just cool, right? Now, I know what you might think. A lot of people dislike this stuff, because a lot of people are like, oh, but that makes it so you need to farm these exact specific items to be viable. But you have to remember that that Ring of Collapsing Futures, was not a massive DPS increase. First of all, if you did not need Haste Mastery as your stat prio, or in that case, Heavy Mastery as your stat prio, you would not use Ring of Collapsing Futures. The on-use effect did a very, very, very trivial amount of damage. It was not important at all. So, most people did not use Ring of Collapsing Futures, but if you did use Haste Mastery, it was a very, very good trinket, or not trinket, ring, to get, because it was just the exact ring you wanted, but with a bonus. Awesome! And I personally love this type of design, because I am very much like a mega min-maxer, if you couldn't tell. And I do that obviously both with like speedrun stuff and with my main character. I love getting those tiny little upgrades and like the tiny little benefits to get that like 0.2% DPS increase. Like that shit is my jam. I live for doing that in raiding. So I loved trying to basically attain a BIS set. And I think a lot of people do enjoy that too, like going for the perfect BIS set. And even though that was only like a very minuscule DPS increase for some people, if I was already running Haste Mastery, it was just cool. It felt awesome to get like, yeah, that is my BIS ring, and it has a cool little on-use effect, right? It's not just my BIS ring because it has the BIS stats. It's my BIS ring because it has the BIS stats and it has this cool little bonus effect. It makes it feel special. And it's the reason why I still remember and look fondly upon Ring of Collapsing Futures, despite it being however many years since Legion was like current content. It's just, that's good design, right? You want to make loot feel special. You want to make it so when people get this loot, they're not like, oh, I got my Haste Mastery ring. They're like, oh, I got my Ring of Collapsing Futures. Like, for a current example, if you happen to use, like, one-handed Agi swords, you want Poxstorm from Plaguefall, right? So Shadowlands, Plaguefall, obviously I can't use it on a Druid, so what's something that can use it? Not Warrior. Warrior is not an Agi user. Monk, so Poxstorm, Longsword of Pestilence. Now, there's also an item, so this thing, obviously, your attacks have a high chance to apply Bubbling Pox, deals damage, cool, right? You go to Sanctum of Domination, off Painsmith, you have Cruciform Vein Ripper. That is, I believe, your current BIS for most of those classes, because it's just really good. That one Guardian Druid can use, which is cool. Then you look down at, like, let's say, Kel'Thuzad, right? So, Kel'Thuzad, Warrior, Jythus. Why is Jythus so special? Jythus has a cool effect. So, Jythus, you can basically empower it to get a proc. So, it's a pretty cool item, right? It's BIS for a lot of classes that can actually use it, but it's BIS in a cool way. It doesn't just have a higher item level, it does. But it has a cool effect to go along with that higher item level. So I love trinket and item design like that. It makes it feel way more special, it makes it feel way more unique. It's just a more fun way of designing gear. Same thing with, like, obviously I know hunters are going to sit here and be like, oh no, the hunter bow sucks, I can't get it to drop after like however many months. And yeah, I get it. The acquisition of the hunter bow is a bit kind of shit. But I think that kind of is a cool... I think it's a cool item. I don't know. It shouldn't be a legendary. It should honestly just be... it should just be an epic, right? Like, it basically is. I don't know. Whatever. It's a cool item. I think it's... What the fuck, dude? You okay there? Okay. That Demon Hunter just had a moment. And, like, Dark Ranger's Quiver, too, right? Like, that's just a cool back piece. It's a cool, flavorful back piece. If you're already using a crit haste back piece, it's just icing on the cake. Now, all that to say, back to Legion loot. There's a lot of shit like this in Legion. I loved Legion dungeons, I loved Legion loot, because there was so much stuff like this. So, we look at, Karazhan had a lot of it, right? So, all classes... Now, there's some weird things, like, there was some weird item on... this thing. Yeah, so there's, like, boots that have a Hearthstone effect. That's what I was thinking of. There's, like, some trinkets that are really good. Drape of Shame. Oh, Drape of Shame. Oh, I forgot about that. Drape of Shame. Okay, so Drape of Shame is from Lower Karazhan. And it increases the critical healing effects that you do by 5%. So this is bonkers good for H-Pals, because they have, like, those big holy shots that, like, crit for a massive amount. So every single H-Pal in Legion really, really wanted this cape. So this is just a really cool cape. Like, that's the thing. Like, nobody wants to be like, oh yeah, I got my BIS cape. You know, people want to be able to say, like, I got my Drape of Shame. Right? Like, whenever an H-Pal in my guild was like, oh, I finally got my Drape of Shame this week, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, that's awesome. It's a cool item. It has, like, significance. And sure, it might take a while to farm it, and I know that, yes, deterministic gearing has been a problem in WoW recently, and especially, they've made changes with the Great Vault that have been good. At the time, yeah, it was a bit of a crapshoot whether or not you could actually get it from your, at the time, but it wasn't the Great Vault, right? Whatever you call it, your box. Box of Disappointment is, I guess, what we all called it, right? Then you have this one, so Choker of Barbed Rains. I never ended up using this on any tank, just because there were better options, but this is cool. It's a neck piece that makes you reflect damage when people attack you. That's awesome! That's just a cool effect, right? Like, who can complain about that? Cool fucking effect. Then there's another one that I'm going to show, specifically from Karazhan, in a second. I do need to make sure... I'm just going to be like, fuck it, I want to make sure we don't get a second Stitch Fest. Stitch... You know what I'm saying. Alright. So where is it? I forget which boss had it. There's also cool stuff, like, I remember Bloodstained Handkerchief was actually pretty good for some classes. So there's that. What else? This, oh yeah, I forgot about this ring. The first time you damage an enemy, they deal 10% less damage to you for 4 seconds. Isn't that, I think that's, like, kind of a version of, like, the Volpera racial. So that's cool. That's actually neat that it existed as a ring. I never ended up using that. But this is what I'm talking about. There's so many cool items that have, like, these really unique effects from the Legion dungeons, especially Karazhan. I remember, this trinket was really good for Guardian Druids. So... Guardian Druids basically ran like a Moonfire build, so because this did, I believe, arcane damage, it got buffed by one of your legendaries, and because you were so Moonfire focused, you ran trinkets like this. Ah, it was cool. Then, what else? Shade of Medivh. This one, oh yeah, there was the set bonus! Okay, so obviously this set bonus isn't gonna matter anymore, but yeah, you had there was a cape and this necklace, and it made it so after you kill the boss, you would get increased damage and healing. That's just cool, right? Honestly, not a lot of people used it because the cape was pretty meh. I think it was like the cape and the neck had like completely different stat prios, so a lot of people didn't really want to run it because the stat prios like didn't really mesh well together. But then you had this thing, Aaron's Relaxing Ruby. This trinket was very, very, very powerful. Just a lot of cool shit. Mana Devourer. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. No, 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 no. No! I can't move! Okay. Shit. I know that my screen's been mostly covered, so I don't know if people saw what happened there, but basically, I started to run out for the Dispel, but the healer just like, bam, insta-dispelled it, so I got rooted. Okay, this is bad. Wait, oh, the healer's dead. How did the healer die? Huh. Oh, well, I could have B-rest him. Whoops! Yeah. I mean, I guess it's not my fault that he died, right? But yeah, I could have rested him. Fuck, I wasn't paying attention. Okay, back to what I was talking about. Hopefully the healer doesn't eat shit this time. Vizdoom had a lot of cool shit. So, what was the necklace I'm thinking of? Oh, the thing I'm thinking of is from the Arcway. Right, okay, I'll show that later. But yeah, so you had a lot of cool shit from Vizdoom, specifically these two items. Upper Karazhan, I really hope they make Karazhan Timewalking. They can split it, especially if they're doing Mythic Plus. Split it into 2 sections, right? Nobody would have a problem with that. Even in some of the other dungeons, right? Like, Halls of Valor had a lot of cool shit. Like, you want to talk about, like, cool trinkets? You have Hunger of the Pack. I mean, Horn of Valor was just a really good on-use trinket. A lot of people ran Horn of Valor. But Hunger of the Pack was a crit stat stick. I remember running this for a while, because crit was my best stat on my Vengeance DH. And it was just a really nice on-use, or not on-use effect, on-kill effect. So, good trinket. I think some people ran Eye of Scovald. I don't know. Gift of Radiance, I'm pretty sure, sucked. What else? I don't think... A lot of these dungeons didn't have super special effects. But the trinkets especially, I think, in Legion were really good. Let me look for some other ones. So, Court of Stars and Arcway did have a lot of special stuff. I'll get to them. But Ymiron. Okay, so this trinket right here. So I remember specifically Utgard Royal Signet. This was my best trinket back in Legion. So I used this for a while. So that one has significance to me. Not because it's special, but this did have significance to me because it had my best stats, I guess. So that one I am happy about. I'm like, oh yeah, I get to have an Utgard Royal Signet again. I love that ring. But Memento of Angerboda. This trinket. Love it so much. So, basically it's like... I don't know, it's one of those weird trinkets, right, where it's so basic, it's like not even really that cool as a trinket, but the way that it's like themed, I just think is awesome. Basically, it gives you a random buff, I think of either crit, haste, or mastery, and when it has like, I believe, an increased chance to proc when you kill an enemy or when one of your party members dies, even though it doesn't actually say that on the tooltip. If I remember correctly, that was like, people figured that out over time. And it was just a really good trinket because the buffs that it gave you were really fucking strong. And obviously, if you really only benefited from like a single trinket, you wouldn't run, or single stat, I mean, like crit or haste, you wouldn't run this because it had a chance to give you like one of the 3. But it was just a cool trinket. I really liked it. Did I not get... I never got the Bastion quest. It's supposed to give that to you. Weird. Oh, I can get... Okay, I normally wouldn't do world quests because they're really inefficient, but if I'm sitting in queue and this one gives bonus experience and it's like insanely fast, I might as well do it. Because this one takes like absolutely no time at all. So it's like the perfect storm. I'm right next to it, It's super fast, and it gives bonus XP. Sure. Right? Might as well. What was I going on? Oh, yes. Trinkets. So, I mean, honestly, though, I'm just excited to run Maw Souls. I love Maw Souls as a dungeon. I think it's fucking phenomenal. And I'm pumped. Man, I'm so fucking pumped to do this thing. Whew. Now, I mean, there's a lot of other cool stuff. Let me go into it. I mean, I haven't even really talked about, like, a lot of my thoughts on just the events. I haven't even got into all the other shit. I've spent so much time talking about Legion Timewalking. I'm just so excited for Legion Timewalking. I mentioned this, I'm pretty sure the video where I talk about this is already out. But I think in one of my speedruns, I talk about my thoughts on Timewalking and how they should really add Legion Timewalking, and how I'm really excited for it. And, like, now they're adding it, and I'm like, I did not expect it to come this soon. I'm so pumped. Cathedral of Eternal Night. Okay, this one I do want to talk about. I love this dungeon. I think it's fucking awesome. I am scared that it's not going to make it into the rotation. Blizzard, please, 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 please. I know you're not listening to this, but, I mean, I guess if other people can, like, shout with me, right, and maybe Blizzard will hear it, please make this dungeon part of the rotation. Whatever you do. God, this dungeon's so good. Mephistroth is so much fucking fun. Okay, so Mephistroth has the Aegis of Agrimar. So you pick up the Aegis of Agrimar, and then in the middle of the fight, basically Mephistroth summons clones of himself around the room, and Illidan sits in the middle of the room and starts a channel to reveal Mephistroth. And all of the clones start shooting out these bolts of energy at Illidan, and the player with the shield, which is the tank, has to activate the shield and basically play fucking Undyne's mechanic in the middle of a boss fight and, like, spin the shield around rapidly to deflect the balls flying at Illidan from all different directions to let him get off his cast without being interrupted. And it is by far, without a doubt, the most fun mechanic I have ever done in any fucking raid or dungeon boss ever. I love it. It is so fucking good. I love that mechanic. I love that boss. Best dungeon boss fucking ever, in my opinion. Please, Blizzard, please, 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 please. I hope this is in the pool. I would be so fucking happy if I got to do Mephistroth again. Oh my god, I'm getting giddy just thinking about it. God, I love that dungeon so much. I love that boss. It's so good. It's so fucking good. Okay, so, but, like, also Cathedral of Eternal Night, I mean, it didn't really have much good shit. It had an on-use haste trinket, which, like, for people who used haste was good. And it had this thing, which some people used. Splinters of Acridax was a meme trinket. Yeah, nobody ran it. And I'm pretty sure none of the other items had special effects. So, like, that's why I almost feel like they're not going to add this, because it didn't have anything special in terms of its items. And it had only, like, 2 okay trinkets. But in terms of design, I love this fucking boss. Like, Thrashbite was basically Sludge Fist, but a dungeon boss. Acridax was kind of a boring boss, but whatever. Domitrax was... I mean, he wasn't, like, a great boss, but he actually was a pretty chaotic and fun boss to do. And then Mephistroth is just amazing. This dungeon, it's so good. I've talked about this before, but Cathedral of Eternal Night, in terms of how it's designed, is one of my favorite dungeons of all time, because I think that there's something really special about being able to make a dungeon that has this sense of verticality of it, of you're constantly progressing up a spire. Now, obviously, you have games like Slay the Spire, which do that really well, where you're constantly moving up from floor to floor. And it might seem minor, but giving off that feeling of making constant progress up a tower, and then that final confrontation ending in the top of the tower, like the pinnacle of everything, it's a very, like, cool feeling, I guess. And that was one of the biggest things for me. It felt awesome, just slowly working my way up that, like, spire, and right at the top, the very tippy top in that small room, you get that final battle with Domitrax and Mephistroth, and oh, it's such a good dungeon. Fucking love it. Love Cathedral of Eternal Night. Maw Souls, I mean, do I really need to say why Maw Souls is amazing? You're on a fucking ghost ship. The external design of the dungeon is like a fucking endless ocean of, like, souls and shit, and there's, like, gigantic whirlpool things, like, stretching to the fucking sky. The ship rocks back and forth. God, man, Maw Souls is so good. This one they have to add. I do not see a universe in which Maw of Souls, one of the most popular dungeons, like, saying that Cathedral of Eternal Night is good is an unpopular opinion. Saying that Maw of Souls is good is a pretty popular opinion, and I'm pretty sure, like, I would say with 99% certainty, this dungeon will make the cut. And that I'm fucking excited for. I cannot wait to run Maw of Souls again. It is a fucking awesome dungeon. Helya is a great boss fight. Fucking love this boss. Harboron is a really good boss fight too. Ymiron is a good boss fight. Honestly, all of them are good. Ymiron is probably the weakest of the three, but Harboron, I fucking love that fight. Helya, I fucking love that fight. God, it's such a fucking good dungeon. I'm so excited. Now, moving on. Court of Stars is another dungeon I think is really cool. I'm curious how they're going to handle the profession thing. They could just stick with it and make it so you need to have, like, all the professions. I'd be fine with that. It's a bit weird, though, because they also... A lot of, like, races were able to interact with specific stuff. Like, Blood Elves could interact with, like, one specific item or whatnot. It was just odd. That caused a bit of, like, controversy in terms of what should be allowed, especially for Mythic Plus. But overall, I think Court of Stars is just a very good dungeon, and I do not see a universe in which this and the Maw of Souls are part of the rotation. I think Archway should also be part of the rotation. Archway was another phenomenal dungeon. But yeah, so what do we have? So we have Guileful Intruder's Handguards. So this was a leather set bonus that could drop from Court of Stars. Or I believe it was Court of Stars dropped the gloves, and then Archway dropped the boots. And it was just basically another piece of bonus gear, right? It had crit haste, so... You know, if you liked crit haste, you would run that, and then it had once you had the full set, a mastery proc. Now, this meant that it wasn't, like, absolutely mandatory for everybody, because since the stats were different depending on, like, the proc and the actual item, it wasn't, like, 100% awesome, but it was a good set bonus, a good item. I think stuff like that is always appreciated, right? Then Talixay. What did Talixay have? Anything special? Oh yeah, this thing. So there was this set bonus, which was kind of weird because it basically made it so you dealt extra damage against demons. Obviously, there were way more demons in Legion. There's like almost no demons now. The one thing I'm interested in is, so Mal'Ganis is like almost guaranteed to be a raid boss in the next tier, right? Like that's been heavily hinted. So Mal'Ganis, I don't know, are they still classifying Dreadlords as demons? Because if so, and they make, like, Legion Mythic Plus a thing, maybe this will be really good for Mal'Ganis if he does count as a demon in the next raid. Something to think about. As you can see here, there was also a plate set bonus, so crit haste once again, but it gave you a verse proc effect. So, lots of cool shit in Court of Stars. Advisor Melandris. Now... This one, a lot of people are going to remember. Strand of Stars and Chrono Shard. So Chrono Shard, oh man, Chrono Shard was something. So this one was actually run a lot because Chrono Shard was an insane haste trinket. I'm sure anybody who played Legion remembers Chrono Shard. Really fucking cool item. And this basically just made Chrono Shard better. So it could be argued that it was worth it to run this just to boost Chrono Shard, but even then, Chrono Shard was just an awesome trinket in its own right. You can see here, there was a cloth set too. That one was crit haste, but gave you haste, so I did not play Cloth Wearers, but I would imagine that that was a decent bit better. Now, what else? Was there? I think there was a mail set, but I forget where it was. But this thing, so this is the one that I think a lot of people are going to remember. Jeweled Signet of Melandris. So this thing was basically like this for a lot of melee users. Crit haste, obviously, it's a very universal stat prio. A lot of people run crit haste. And increases your auto attack damage by 10%. Now, auto attack damage is even more impactful now than it was before. A lot of people have really high portions of their damage being auto attack damage, but I think even back then, this was so impactful that so many people needed it as their BIS ring. So this was like infamous for being a really fucking good ring. And it's just a cool effect, right? This is what I'm talking about, right? Like, you would want something like this to be your BIS instead of, oh, it just has my BIS stats. It's like, yeah, my auto attack damage is higher. That's just cool. in my opinion. Windscar Whetstone. This was more of a tank thing than anything, but some tanks did actually run this. It was actually a pretty good trinket for burst AoE. I do remember running this in some of my tanks at various points in time. I don't think, for Vengeance Demon Hunter, it wasn't BIS, because basically, for any tank who already had really, really strong burst AoE, you were generally better off just basically building into increasing your damage more so that you could benefit your burst AoE more. But tanks that were more like single target focused and didn't have great burst AoE, they loved Windscar Whetstone. It was a really, really good burst AoE trinket. Now, going into Arcway. So, Arcway, don't remember if there was anything interesting here. Oh, so, where was the mail set? Because there was a mail set, right? Oh, Nod Thumb Ring. How could I forget the Nod Thumb Ring? Oh, man. This was a thing that existed. So, it was an on-use effect. Once again, just like all these other items, it had an on-use effect that did not, cause you to lose... Oh, shit. For some reason, my keybind to shift into bear form did not work. But yeah, it did not lose you any stats. So, you got full value. So, crit mastery, good stat prio, and it boosted your magic damage by 5%. This may not seem like a lot, but, like, if you already needed these stats, 5% on your burst, pretty fucking good. Now, this thing was actually kind of nuts. A lot of people needed this thing. This one was definitely more in the realm of, like, kind of overpowered. But I still think that it's a cool item. I'm super excited to get this again. Obviously, right now I play Prot Warrior, which is, like, not going to benefit from this at all. I guess it would boost my Ancient Aftershock damage, but, like, most of my damage is physical. But it's still something cool to consider. Don't know what else. This thing, yes! So this is the item I was thinking of. Stabilized Energy Penning. It increases your maximum resource by 5%. Now, this one is a bit weird. So, 5% on your maximum resource, for a lot of people, this doesn't matter, right? Like, let's say you're a warrior. This isn't really going to make a difference for you, unless you are constantly overcapping rage, which you probably shouldn't be anyway. But, for instance, like, for Arcane Mage, this is nuts. Because this, I mean, 5% mana? That's just good, right? For healers, 5% bonus mana? I mean, like, you start every fight with just 5% additional mana. If these stats are good for you, that neck is nuts. I love Stabilized Energy Pennant. This is another thing that I used on my main until the very end of the expansion. I fucking thought it was awesome. There's also this trinket, Coagulated Nightwell Residue. I never ran this, but some tanks absolutely swore by it as like a defensive trinket. I thought it was overrated. What else? Okay, so here's the mail set. The Racers, and then I'm guessing it was from another boss in this dungeon. Interesting. And then this was the other part of that set. Terrorbound Nexus. I think Arms Warriors ran this just because it had a good proc effect. At least they ran it for a time. Had a good proc effect, and it did have Mastery. And I remember Mastery, so Arms Warriors back in Legion, your Mastery was, like, absolutely nuts. You just stacked Mastery on top of Mastery on top of Mastery. It was absolutely bonkers. So this was pretty good. I played Arms Warrior for a little bit. What else? What else do we have? Okay, it's the hollow one. And, well, I know this guy's gonna have a bunch of cool shit. So this is the other part of the plate set. What else we got? I guess Chrono Shard, right. So Chrono Shard, this thing. Nah, just call her Ocarina. Sure. I guess I'll use that. Might as well. No more mist. And just make sure I don't eat shit. Cool. Yeah, so Chrono Shard, that was just a nutty haste proc. Like, obviously, you have to, like, take my word for it if you didn't play Legion, that all of these, like, numbers were tuned to be really fucking good. But that haste proc at the time was really, 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 really potent. If you liked haste, you wanted a fucking Chrono Shard most of the time. Arcway, I mean, Arcway, I will say, was not my favorite dungeon on the planet, but I thought it was a good dungeon. It was definitely one of the better ones in Legion. So I could definitely see that making the cut. Now, as for the other dungeons in Legion, I think Halls of Valor probably makes the cut because it was just a good dungeon. Vault of the Wardens... Vault of the Wardens is iffy. Vault had, in my opinion, some really good bosses, like Cordana, I thought was a very, very good boss. And I thought Tirathon was actually a pretty good boss, but then Tormentrum is probably the worst boss to ever exist. It's a pretty hit-or-miss dungeon in that regard. I think one of the biggest things to me is which trinkets will make it in. Like, which dungeon trinkets make the cut. Like, Seat of the Triumvirate, this one had a lot of other special loot, but I'm going to be completely real here. Is nobody else interrupting? Jesus. Okay. This thing had some interesting loot. It had, like, this ring set, which increased your avoidance, which was really, really good, because obviously avoidance can be very nice. But I don't know. I don't really exactly want this dungeon to come back. Yeah, it even had here, like, some sets for, like, different armor types, right? Where's the, wasn't there a leather one? Or was it just cloth? I don't know, maybe I'm fucking imagining things. All I know, Seat of the Triumvirate was one of my least favorite dungeons ever. I thought the problem with it is, especially, like, I really hated the second boss. I hated the design of, like, the dungeon going up to the second boss. I thought it was way too freeform, and there were so many, like, patrols that would just, like, randomly pull, and it was just a fucking pain in the ass to route. The third boss was awful. The third boss basically was just such a pain in the ass. It had ridiculously tight burst damage checks. Really, really, really annoying. And then the last boss had a ridiculously annoying enrage, like, or soft enrage tied to it. I was able to do it, but there were so many pug groups that just could not handle the mechanics for the life of them. And I lost so many keys on this dungeon because people struggled with it. It was just not a fun boss, in my opinion. Or not a fun dungeon. The whole thing. I really, honestly, out of any dungeon, I am okay with Seat of the Triumvirate not making the cut. I also really hope that Black or Cold does not make the cut, because Black or Cold was a dogshit dungeon. I don't care what you say. Fucking sucked. So the second boss, one of the biggest problems with it is the second boss was bugged for a while. Now, presumably, the bug would be fixed, but I thought the first boss was boring and uninspired. The second boss was boring and also had broken invisible damage mechanics that made it frustrating as hell. The third boss was also really boring, really simplistic, and it had some of the most annoying and long trash wings in any dungeon ever. Last boss was okay, but, like, having one solid boss and a dungeon of dogshit is just... No. Please no. I really, really hope that it doesn't make the cut. It also had nothing actually good from it. Like, it had some of the worst trinkets I've ever seen. This one, I believe, was okay for healers, right? The Amalgam 7th Spine. I'm not 100% sure, but I think for mana return, it was a decent trinket. I could be wrong in that. Once again, I don't know healers, but it's definitely not as bad as some of the other trinkets, because I know that Spiked Counterweight, which drops off the third boss, so... Crap. Cancelled out. This thing, Spiked Counterweight, is one of the worst trinkets ever created. So, I mean, I just really hope that they don't add it to the pool just because nothing was good. Oh yeah, this thing, Ember of Nullification. So, remember how I said that a lot of those other cool trinkets, you didn't lose any of the stuff in the stat stick with it having an extra effect? Well, this trinket, they thought that this effect was so good that they needed to make it so you actually did lose stats from the allocated amount to get this effect. So what is this effect? When you take magic damage, you have a chance to apply Choking Flames, which silences them for 2 seconds. And it can only occur once every 20 seconds. So it's a shitty versatility stat stick that has a garbage effect that only has a chance to silence an enemy after you've taken damage, and it cannot proc an AoE because it has a 20-second ICD, so it's worthless on AoE pulls. Garbage trinket. Kurtalos Ravencrest had Caged Horror. I'm 99% sure that, like, very few people ever ran this, and it wasn't very good for, like, most people, right? Like, if you ran this, it was probably something that you got out of your box, and it was like, whatever. Nothing in terms of gear or anything was interesting from this dungeon. I thought the dungeon was boring and uninspired. Please do not bring this back. Like, Eye of Ashara. What did Eye of Ashara have? This one, like, a few people ran it. It was a shit trinket. I thought it was overrated. This thing was pretty good for people who needed mastery. Whoops, wrong button. King Deepbeard. Once again, this one, some people ran it. Overrated. God, I keep exiting out. This one was bad. And yeah, people didn't really run this, I don't think. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure people did not run Bottled Hurricane. So Eye of Ashara overall, I didn't hate the dungeon. I thought it was a good dungeon, but in terms of gear, I'm not too excited about anything that comes from that. What do we have for Darkheart Thicket? I can't remember any trinkets here. I don't think this was that good. This one was really good. A lot of people ran this trinket. This was actually one of the trinkets that some Guardian Druids would end up running. So that trinket basically procced off your Moonfire and actually did a pretty hefty amount of damage. So yeah, definitely did see a good amount of play. It's not a particularly exciting trinket, right? Like it's literally just... Where was it? Oakheart, right? Yeah. It's just deals damage and reduces the target's movement speed. I mean, like, okay. Nothing special, it's just a trinket. Alright. But it was good. I mean, it was a perfectly fine trinket. Nightmare Eggshell. Ooh. Nightmare Eggshell was a good trinket. So it gave you a stacking haste increase. Now, if you needed, like, on a proc, like, really good haste boost, you would run Chrono Shard. But Nightmare Eggshell was also really good if you just wanted, like, sustained haste. This gave you, overall, more haste than Chrono Shard, or at least at the time it did. And, like, if you could continually benefit from the haste for the entire ramp of Nightmare Eggshell, it was a very, very good trinket. Very, very good. Love that trinket. Would definitely be happy if it returned. Now... So Writhing Heart of Darkness. This one, obviously, so this basically would be a 1.5% damage reduction with its current scaling. That obviously was not what it was at the time. With some percent trinkets like this, the scaling can get kind of fucky. Writhing Heart of Darkness, this is, in my opinion, one of the only not overrated tank trinkets. Having a flat percent damage increase, or damage decrease, is very, very, very powerful. And it was not super hard to stack this up. So if you got a high item level one of this, it could actually be a pretty potent survivability trinket. Especially like on AoE. Like if you're taking like 10%, or however much you could get it up to, reduced damage from all targets that you were hitting on AoE, because like if you're hitting targets with a lot of different critical hits, you know, it's pretty easy to get that stacked up to 3, because it doesn't matter how good the spell that you critical hit with is, all you need to do is get 1 crit. So this is pretty potent. If you're spamming like Thrash or something, you're gonna crit on 1 enemy, at least. So pretty good trinket. I probably would not run this. I don't think it's that good, and especially with scaling, it probably won't end up being good. But it is not a bad trinket by any stretch of the imagination. Now, what else do we have? Neltharian's Lair. This thing was shit. This thing was shit. What else? Neuraxis' Spiked Tongue. This was good. This was an interesting trinket. This was another one that some Guardian Druids ran. You could launch a ball of venom that dealt damage, and it the damage would increase depending on how far away you were. Now, the reason why this wasn't one that a lot of Guardian Druids ran is because obviously if you're tanking a boss, you can't be super far away. But if there are periods of time where you could be like really far away from a boss, like, I don't know, Garathi Worldbreaker, trying to think of others. I honestly, yeah, that's the only one that comes to mind. There aren't many bosses where you're reliably running away from a boss to do something, but in any scenario where you could do that, this was a solid trinket. And it was just an interesting effect. And for DPS, obviously, they could regularly make use of it. So, cool trinket. Definitely like that trinket. Would be happy if it was added back into the game. Would be more shit to play around with. Mark of Dargrul, I don't think was very good. Yeah, that was the landslide one. Yeah, this one was not very good. What else do we have? I get such a happy feeling looking through all these dungeons and just getting this like nostalgia hit of like, oh yeah, I love these trinkets. I miss these trinkets. Oh, they were so cool. This makes me happy. I know I've spent like a ridiculously long amount of time going over this, but you have to understand that I'm just so happy about the fact that I'm going to be able to do Legion dungeons again, like for real. It's like, I would have been, like, mildly excited if they announced Timewalking. I would have been like, cool. But it's the Mythic Plus dungeons, where I'm like, I get to do Legion Mythic Plus again? Like, I've mentioned this before, but the only time I ever seriously pushed keys was in Legion. That was the only expansion where I ever enjoyed Mythic Plus enough to actually push. And the fact that I get to do that again, I'm just, oh, I'm so excited. I am so fucking excited. What else? I think the only dungeon I haven't looked at is Vault of the Wardens. I briefly looked at it, but I didn't... What were the trinkets again? What did we have? Tirathon's Betrayal. Don't think that one was very good. That was, yeah, an auto-attack empowerment. Orb of Torment, that was shit. Faulty Countermeasure. I don't think anybody ran that. I might be wrong. I don't recall anybody running that one. Concave Reflecting Lens. Could be wrong. I don't think anybody used that. Maybe some healer mains are going to be like, oh, these trinkets are all good. Yeah, nothing special from Vault of the Wardens. I wouldn't mind if they didn't actually do anything for that. Now, obviously, one thing that I really hope they do is I hope they add, like, time-walking raids more. So I guess now that I've gone through all the dungeons, alright. Well, I'm super excited for that. I want to see more time-walking raids. And I think that, I really don't understand why this can't be a constant thing. So a lot of people are like, oh, well, you know, they can't make time-walking run like 100% of the time. And I'm like, why not? Why can't we have constant time-walking? Now, obviously, don't make it like 100% of the time we have Legion time-walking, right? But why can't we have a constant rotation of time-walking? Time-walking should be, in my opinion, a major feature. It should be like BC time-walking week, then it should be Wrath Timewalking Week. Then it should be Kata Timewalking Week, Mop Timewalking Week, Wad Timewalking Week, Legion Timewalking Week. It should rotate. Every single week, if we want to, we should be able to do Timewalking dungeons. And all that matters is which expansion is available this week. And I think that if they did that, it would just be awesome, right? Because you would still have the draw, like, to pull in players at any given time. Because, like, Legion Timewalking Week at that point would only come around, like, once every 2 months or so. So once every 2 months, if somebody really loves Legion Timewalking, they would be like, oh, fuck yeah, it's Legion Timewalking Week. But that's still faster than we're getting it right now. But that means that that's just an extra form of content that already exists within the game that Blizzard is just not benefiting from. And this is what I was touching upon earlier with Blizzard. Use the tools at your disposal. You have this massive backlog of content. You've already coded in the scaling for this. Just let people play it. Oh shit. Ow. Yeah, just let people play it, right? You already have this stuff. It already exists. You can already enable or disable time walking at will. Just make it so there's always a time walking event going. I don't see what the problem with that would be. Like, I see that as only being a positive. There is absolutely no downside, in my opinion, to just making it so we have time walking up 100% of the time. First of all, it would increase the speed at which we get time walking stuff. It would It would just give people extra shit to do if you really like time walking. I mean, I guarantee you I'd be making a lot more time walking content because I love time walking, but right now it's just a lot of times when time walking comes around, I'm just like, I'm busy doing other shit, right? But if I could at any point just hop into a time walking dungeon, I mean, first of all, one of the biggest things for me is that would allow me to actually route it into leveling. At that point, you could make the genuine argument that time walking should be allowed within a leveling speedrun, or like an official leveling speedrun. And you could build strats around that, because it would not be like a super infrequent thing. So it wouldn't be like, oh yeah, but it's unfair because you can only access it like once every few months. So I think that would be really awesome. Then I also think that it would just be fun. It would be a draw for players to come back into the game. And I think that time walking raids should have scaling difficulties. Once again, Final Fantasy does this. Final Fantasy lets you sink down to older raids and do that. Now, if you want to just farm an old raid for transmog, you can do that in Final Fantasy. You can already do that in WoW. But Final Fantasy lets you run those old raids for gear. Now, here's the thing. You can't actually get the gear scaled up to a reasonable level in Final Fantasy. But you know what? I'm not saying copy Final Fantasy. I'm saying do better. You know? Like, you don't need to just do what Final Fantasy's doing. I'm saying fucking top it. Right? You know, Final Fantasy lets you sink down to raids, which from a replayability perspective is awesome. But you know what would be even more awesome? If, like, instead of just having to farm Sanctum of Domination every week to maybe get that one item I need as an upgrade, what if I can go do extra content, play, like, and first of all, by the way, Blizzard, remember, all of this, I'm still going to be doing Sanctum of Domination Mythic. So it's not like I'm going to be playing less. I'm still going to be running that to get the gear that I need, and I'm still going to be progging and spending a lot of time on that. But instead of just doing my heroic run of Sanctum of Domination and logging out, I will be putting more time into your game because I will be sitting there running older raids synced to try and get my Bis Trinket from, like, fucking Emerald Nightmare or something. I don't know. I'm just saying. It's just a benefit, right? You know, you get to have your, like, playtime metrics, and I get to have fun doing the older raids that I fucking love, and I get to get rewards for doing those older raids. Like, it literally is just a perfect scenario for everybody. I don't see how anybody could possibly dislike that. I don't know. I think it's awesome. So what I'm trying to say is, like, if Blizz plays into their strengths, if they make it so all of this time walking content is, like, genuinely relevant, up 100% of the time, they embrace it as a feature, as something that, yes, you can do this as an actual form of content if you want, that would just be awesome. I would be so down for that. And I think that getting Mythic Plus, if we get Mythic Plus that people can genuinely run for competitive, like, 246 item level gear, and then, oh my god, if it drops from your box, imagine if, like, at the end of Legion Time Walking Week, if you open up your Great Vault, and there's a chance that a fucking Mauve Souls trinket's on there, oh, baby, that would be so cool. I'd be so fucking excited. That's really the only thing that I could say. Like, basically, good shit, I'm happy with these changes, but more, please. Please, just make it more frequent. Like, great change, fucking happy about that, just let me do it more often. And, I don't know, like, I think that would be awesome. Do you know how many people I could fucking convince to come back to this game if they keep making changes like this? Oh, I'm so excited. And I've only got into the third topic. I mean, I guess it's fair, right? Because I still have 2 levels to go, so it's not like I'm almost done leveling. I do have lots of time. How long have I been talking? I spent a good fucking hour talking about Legion Time Walking. God, I love Legion Time Walking. I love Legion Dungeons. I love that expansion. Fucking Legion Classic when? Speaking of Classic, we'll get to Classic. Oh man, I have a lot to talk about there. Whew. Okay, so that's the end of Legion Time Walking. Now, Maw Introduction Skippable. Players who have completed the introduction in the Maw, and one character will be able to speak to Darien in the capital city. What do I need to say about this? I've mentioned it in multiple speedruns that I really want a Maw skip. Every single person that speedruns this game has wanted a Maw skip. Yeah, it's a good change. The one thing I will note is just because I'm sure that I'll get questions about it, people will probably say, hey, is doing the Maw skip efficient in terms of XP kind of like doing the WAD intro was, or is doing the Maw intro efficient in XP, kind of like doing the WAD intro is efficient in XP? The answer is no. At least I don't think so. I am fairly certain, and obviously I could be wrong in this, but in my experience, I am fairly certain that it is not efficient to do the Maw intro. I am pretty sure that it's like nowhere near as time efficient as just skipping it and moving on to the other zones. Now, obviously that means you need to get more XP from somewhere else. That's something that we'll have to figure out. And I will be doing that figuring out. I'll talk about that later, what my plans going forward are. But the WAD intro is unique in that it's just extremely quest dense and it's very, very short. That is not the Maw intro. The Maw intro has like you don't get like batches of quests. You get like one quest after another, and each one takes a long time and doesn't give great experience. So this is not like WAD intro 2.0 where like, yeah, you can skip it, but you shouldn't. No, WAD intro is just very good. Maw intro is not. So yeah, absolutely, I'm going to skip this 100% of the time. I recommend you do the same. It's a good change. Really, nothing else to say about that. We've been asking about it for a while. Thumbs up. Good shit. Thanks, Blizzard. What else? Now... Oh yeah, Island Expeditions. Don't give a shit. I already have everything I want from islands. I guess for people who want to queue solo islands, cool. I guess the only way that this might impact me is, would queuing for islands solo be an efficient way of leveling? Probably not. And I'll leave it at that. Probably not. Talent and ability improvements. Cool. I mean, I would hope so. Survival hunter buffs? Maybe? I mean, this is like so unspecific that I really can't comment on it. I mean, it's good to know that they're still doing balance. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Maybe survival hunter buffs. Fingers crossed. Allied race unlocks. Allied races such as the Cultiran humans, Mechanomes, Dark Iron Dwarves, which had a dungeon required to unlock them. Cool. Easier unlock of allied races. Nice. Additional travel points in the Maw. Players will be able to take advantage of additional fast travel options to Desmoteron and the other places. I guess Perdition Hold, like, nobody gives a shit, right? Desmoteron is the real thing. Cool. Yeah. Faster travel to raid. Can't complain. That's good. You can deposit anima in Korthia now. Oh, I should queue for a dungeon. Whoops. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to use my thingamabobber here to go hand in... I'll hand in the Plaguefall quest first. Might as well. Where is it? Maldraxxus, right. Completing, yeah, so that's the remote anima turn in, yeah, whatever. The transmog set linking. Neat. I mean, no comments really. I like my transmog sets, but I'm not going to go around like, like posing, like, ooh, like, do you like my transmog set? Like, here, check it out. Like, no, I don't know. Not something I'm going to do. So, cool. I'm sure some people wanted this feature. Awesome. Now, obviously, this is the big one. This is the one that I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about, to the point where I'm actually... So I'm going to skip over this real quick, the alt leveling improvements, and get to that in a moment. PvP gear power adjustments. Great. Should help people in PvP. I don't PvP. I don't give a shit. Rune carving recipes. Now, I will touch upon this for a second. Drop rates for rune carving recipes will increase to 100% drop rate in any dungeon difficulty. Yes! I am so happy about this change. You have no fucking idea. I cannot get Wildfire Cluster on my fucking Survival Hunter. I admittedly don't need it right now, but it's kind of tilting when I'm like, I kind of want to craft it just for when I do need it, and I can't get it to drop. So, yay! Fucking finally! It's so dumb that you need to farm the same dungeon multiple times just to potentially get a gear upgrade. This is actually a really good change, and I'm really fucking happy about it. And admittedly, I can kind of understand why this wasn't at launch. This is one of those where I'm not going to give them too much grief for not having it in. Sure, I get it. You needed to make it so you know, people actually had to grind out their powers and make it like an interesting thing. But when catching up on alts, it just feels silly. So good change. Happy about that. And then Battle for Azeroth, legacy stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Don't care. It's whatever. 1 second. Just, I've been recording for like almost 2 hours now. So, I'll explain later. I got a really cool thumbnail, in my opinion, and I showed it to my cousin, and he was like, how the fuck did you get that thumbnail? So I'll explain it to him. But I guess on that note, one thing I will quickly take a random off-topic rant about is thumbnails. Honestly, I know this may seem like a strange thing to say. If you if you click on my videos, right? Like, I don't even know what the thumbnail for this one's gonna be, but I mean, if you watch through it and you know you like the video, I guess at this point, let me know what you think about thumbnails on any given video. It seems like a very odd thing, but I've tried to put a lot of work into thumbnails, and I try to I spend a lot of time thinking about what shot I want to get and how I want to edit it down to fit everything and make the text readable and make it pop out and stuff. I don't know. I know a lot of people don't give a shit about this and will probably not comment about this, and that's fine. I mean, you absolutely don't have to, but I'm just saying, if you have the time, I would love to see comments and stuff saying what you think about the thumbnail. It seems minor, right? But I really do want feedback on these thumbnails, because a lot of times I'm I don't know, maybe people won't like this thumbnail. And I know a lot of people don't give a shit, but maybe if you are somebody that notices those things, and you are somebody who pays attention to thumbnail design, and maybe you see I do a thumbnail that you're oh, this isn't very good, maybe tell me why you think that. I would love to hear it, because I spend so much time thinking about that. One of the ones that I was really proud of is the problem with raiding in World of Warcraft. That video, I wanted to try to get a picture that conveyed the long journey to actually get to raiding, the long gearing, grinding process, and I wanted to convey that with a picture. So I was how do I do that? How do I make a very simple picture that conveys that feeling? And I decided to basically get a picture of my character standing on one of those giant chains that runs from Torghast to Korthia, because then basically it looks like all of these chains stretching out into the distance to Torghast, which is, I mean, now Sanctum of Domination, it's the raid. So it basically is that exact type of feeling of this long journey of climbing this chain, of this ladder in a sense, to be able to actually reach the raid. And I was really happy with how that turned out. I was oh yeah, I really like that thumbnail. But I'm not sure if anybody actually picked up on that. I don't think they did. But I don't know. If you notice stuff like that, or maybe if you think that this thumbnail didn't do a good job at conveying what the video is about, please let me know. I'm always looking to improve on that. And I care so much about my thumbnails and stuff. And I'll sit there for an hour trying to get the perfect screenshot that I can use, or the perfect thing that I can include. And honestly, sometimes I'm not happy with this thumbnail, but I don't know something better to do with it, right? It's tricky. But yeah, no, I love doing thumbnails. Editing thumbnails is probably one of my favorite parts about creating videos. So yeah, I guess small rant there. If you have feedback on the thumbnails, I would absolutely love to hear it. That would mean so much to me if people could let me know what they think about that stuff. All right, let me queue for a dungeon at this point. Now, okay. I do also want to quickly check Wowhead. I want to make sure, because there's been a lot of stuff that's been happening today. I don't want to miss any big announcements or something. God forbid, in the middle of recording this, there's some new big announcements. Yes. One thing that I forgot. Legendary recycling. So, if you'd missed that, they announced it on Twitter. That was one of the things that I talked about in my Why Patch 9.1 is Garbage video. You can recycle your legendaries now, presumably. They haven't given details on how that'll work. All they said is it's going to be a thing. I think we all know how it's probably going to work. Good shit. Good fucking shit, Blizzard. Love to see it. That's something that should have been in the game from launch, but hey, you know what? Awesome. Okay, now let's get to the real meat. Alt leveling improvements. Okay, so I assume if you clicked on this video, this is like the main thing that you were coming to hear me talk about, right? And yeah, it's definitely the big one. A variety of improvements will be introduced in support of a smoother experience leveling alternate characters through Shadowlands, such as an additional rank of heirloom upgrades. Okay, how do I say this? Maybe good. Maybe. Additional rank of heirloom upgrades and improvements to Threads of Fate, such as the addition of Torghast as an option. Awesome. And renown gains for completing bonus objectives. So, obviously, okay, so two things. First of all, heirloom upgrades, for the average player, this is awesome. Now, I hope that they don't price these heirlooms to be, like, ridiculously expensive, because they keep ramping up the cost of upgrading heirlooms, and it's just getting to be absurd, right? Like, I can understand having gold sinks in the game, but your heirloom upgrades should not be where your gold sinks are, because inherently a lot of heirlooms are aimed at new players. Heirlooms are the definitive new player helping you get lots of alts caught up. At this point, you're barely going to get gold out of me for heirlooms because I already have most of the characters I need. So you should not price it to be so aggressive. I think heirlooms are a little bit overpriced. I kind of talked about that in one of my speedruns, which is now a highlight video of which heirlooms should you prioritize or something like that. You can check that video. It's on my channel. But yeah, so I hope that the pricing for that is reasonable. I hope. Now, the thing with heirlooms, and this is where it's a bit tricky, right, is heirlooms are not created equal. So if they make heirlooms upgradable to 60, and they buff the heirloom bonuses that they introduced in pre-patch, this could be a good change. But like, so here, we have our set bonus, right? This is all well and good. But the problem is, first of all, rings are still garbage. So one nice thing, the very first thing that I'm going to be doing the moment that this patch comes out is I'm going to be upgrading my Minari Trading Amulet. This thing is fucking bonkers. You're going to run this no matter what. This thing is fucking amazing. I mean, what can I say? Minari Trading Amulet is good shit. So, you're going to upgrade this. It's good. The problem with this is the heirloom rings are still really weak in terms of their stat allocation. So for casual levelers, I guess, yeah, heirloom rings upgrading, that's great. For, what the hell is this queue time though? For speedrunners, this will not matter. I'm still going to be getting crafted rings. The tricky part about this now is I can't do what like relics of the past, is that what the system's called? I can't do that to get my crafted rings. I need to actually do like Shadowland scroll crafting. So I'll have to work on that. I'll have to get a set of rings to go all the way up to level 60. So that'll be interesting. I guess the thing is, I also don't think that there's any real rested experience. So I talked about this before, right? But the only things that really matter, the only bonuses that really matter are 2-set, 5-set, and 6-set. And if you're a speedrunner, the only bonus that matters is the 5-set. And the 5-set is only kind of okay. And especially when you're doing this entire leveling... Ooh, Zaitan. Cool name. If you're doing the entire leveling process from, like, 1 to 60... A lot of times, while at lower levels, you can do like a massive AoE pull and level up and one-shot a bunch of stuff. That can be very powerful. It's gonna happen only, 10 times while you're leveling up to 60? And yeah, it's not really as controllable. So I would say the set bonus for heirlooms is significantly less powerful. Going from 50 to 60. Obviously, if you are speed leveling, I've talked about this before, if you're speed leveling, not speed running, the rested experience is invaluable, and you will always run the 6-piece bonus just so you could get the increased bonus from rested experience. That much is very strong. But it's not a huge buff for me, I guess, because I don't really need running upgrades from heirlooms. There's enough ways to get that gear from crafted. That's a bit unfortunate, right? I'm just hoping that they buff it, right? Like, this heirloom set bonus, right? This fucking one, the 3-piece, needs to be changed. It's garbage. Like, I don't know, even if they made it like a speed increase, like, make I don't know, make it so, like, increases your out-of-combat speed by, like, 30% or something while on foot. I mean, that wouldn't be insane, but it would be good. It would be better than what we have now. Something, right? Anything. And honestly, I think that instead of it being rested experience, first of all, it should just be experience. So this should just be, like, I don't understand why they removed XP from heirlooms. I'm telling you, Blizzard, just make the set bonus be 10% increased at 2 set, another 10% at 6 set. It's still way less than the old heirlooms, but I mean, it's better. And one of the other problems, right, is, so for monks, I've talked about this before, monks get an exceptionally more powerful version of the heirloom set, because their quests below level 50 allow them to gain big chunks of rested experience, so they can double dip with the heirloom set. This does not apply to any other class. Now, this is obviously a benefit of running a monk, but the benefit should not be exacerbated by the fact that you now have the heirloom set bonus. So I would say that if you just made it that this was a flat % increase, not a rested experience increase, everybody would be happier for it. That's a really good change. Please make that change. Now, what else? Oh yeah, so Threads of Fate. Well, as you can see, I'm leveling in Threads of Fate here. I decided not to put a timer, obviously, because I started at 55. No timer that I put would really matter. If you want to see how long it took me to get from 55 to 60, all you need to do is check the length of the video, because I, pretty much immediately jumped into it, right? It's not like you missed anything. So, yeah, Threads of Fate right now. I've seen people saying that it's not that bad. Now, I think a lot of people need to distinguish between not that bad and worse than campaign. Because I would say if you're pugging these dungeons, it is worse than campaign. And maybe that's just me. I'm getting tank queues. It is, admittedly at this point, tank queues are very fast for these dungeons. It was not the case at launch. You still had to wait a little bit as a tank. So, yes, with the extremely fast queues, this very well might be a faster method already. I have not really felt like testing it for a variety of reasons that I've said, one of them being speedrun.com, which, as I've already said, has nothing to do with Blizzard. They have no say over speedrun.com. That is just people being stupid that have nothing to do with their company. But the Threads of Fate changes, obviously, aside from the stuff like we've seen with Torghast, we don't really know what it's going to be. Now, I hope they just make it so the experience gain is faster. Because I think that even if they make it so everybody would have a faster time leveling through threads, nobody would be upset with that. If it's just universally faster regardless, awesome. Now, giving us additional methods to level, like Torghast, is just great. I've been saying from the very beginning that I think Torghast should be a way to level. That's awesome. Good shit, Blizzard. Yeah. I don't really know what else to say. That's a good change. Now, the problem is it's very hard for me to talk about a lot of this without actually experiencing what it's going to be like, right? So I don't know what we're going to see in terms of XP value. So, like, if Torghast gives an absolutely pitiful amount of XP, you'll never do it for leveling. It'll just be inefficient. Maybe if you're trying to have fun, but if you're trying to be efficient, you'll never do it. And that's one of the big things with Threads of Fate right now. Some people may enjoy it. I personally don't. I'm only doing this because spamming dungeons is, like, way more brain dead than doing the campaign. So I can just kind of talk about whatever the hell I feel like while leveling. And also, I think some people have asked to see me do Threads of Fate, so here you go. You get to see me do Threads of Fate in the background while I talk about the new changes. But I think that I hope Torghast is tuned to actually be good. because I think it would be really interesting to see, like, I don't know, like, see a, how much, does this do uncapped AoE? We're gonna find out in the next room. I've actually never tried it. Yeah, so it would be cool if we could do Torghast, all I'm saying. I hope it's tuned in a way that it's actually a viable method of leveling. Now, other Threads of Fate shit, as for the actual XP values, I don't know. But considering they said that you get renown for completing bonus objectives, this is officially a really, 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 really good way of catching up on renown. And after playing through my mage and my survival hunter, I've realized that it is a real pain in the ass to get caught up with renown. So, yeah. If that's all you care about, if all you care about is like getting efficient progress in endgame, I can already guarantee you that Threads of Fate is going to be more efficient. Just by that alone. So if that's what you were looking for, there you go. Now, I will talk about the rest in a second, because I'm about to do something really fucking stupid. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. This is bad. Does this do AoE? I don't think it does. Ah, convoke the spirits. I'm stunned. No. Layer on extra iron furs. Okay. Come on. No. Okay. Oops. You know what? It was worth a shot for science. Alright. That was fun. Now... that might find us moment. Hey, I mean, actually, we did kill a lot of the mobs, so... Could have been worse. Now, I did not mean to pull that extra pack there. I'm just gonna pretend that I did. Do a roar over there to group them all up. Oh boy. Okay, so... yes, on the topic of Timewalking XP values, PTR is coming out next week. Now... Okay, actually, here, shit. Not going to talk about this just yet. Classic. I do want to talk about Classic. So, Classic Fresh is confirmed. Now, I'm not, obviously, a Classic content creator, but I have mentioned this. I do enjoy Classic. I played through it. I really enjoyed it. I stopped playing, basically before, like, Blackwing Lair. I did not play Classic a ton, but I did get to level 60. I got it level 60 pretty early, and I had a lot of fun with it. I would absolutely play the shit out of a Classic Fresh. I'm 99% sure I actually talk about this on an upcoming speedrun, which, I mean, at this point, I might as well say it. Yes, I am doing, or I already did, a Survival Hunter 50 to 60 budget speedrun. So there you go. I did that. During that, I believe, I'm pretty sure it was during that and not during one of my mage runs. It's hard to keep them, you know, straight at this point. I'm pretty sure I talk about my thoughts on what they should do for a Classic Fresh and how I would really be excited for that. And they confirmed it, so that's awesome. Really no complaints there. I would absolutely play that. I will absolutely play that when it comes out. And another thing. So, obviously, BC Classic has had a bit of a sketchy experience so far. It's been riddled with controversies, and as a result, I did not really feel like getting into it. Now, I do talk about this, I'm 100% sure I do talk about this in my Hunter speedrun. And in the Hunter speedrun, I say, let me know in the comments if you would like me to stream. And it would be a stream, it would not be a video. If you want me to stream my 50 to, or 60 to 70 leveling experience on BC Classic. Because at this point, I've already decided that I am going to try BC Classic. don't worry, I'm not going to boost. I already have a level 60 protection warrior. I will be playing that prot warrior. Initially, I was planning on playing a paladin, maybe, but, you know, given the fact that I didn't play it at launch, I've just decided, fuck it. If I play BC Classic, I'm just going to stick with my original warrior. So that's what I'll be playing. Now, if you would like me to stream my experience leveling 60 to 70 in BC Classic, which would be soon-ish, no exact ETA, but at some point, let me know. I would be happy to do that, but I would only really do that if there was enough interest in it. So, do let me know. All you need to do is say, I'd love to see the BC Classic leveling or something. So I get an idea. Right? It just helps me understand what people actually want to see. Now, obviously, I'm not going to speedrun it. I don't know enough about the BC leveling. But I would obviously try to be efficient with it. Try to have fun with it, really. And to me, being efficient is having fun. So, that's what I would do. Do I need to... Just to be safe. I'm gonna pop a Forge Hammer. We might have just been able to barely make it, but whatever. Yeah, so, as for any additional stuff in BC Classic, I have no idea if after hitting 70, I'm actually going to do any content. I don't really know. It really depends on how much time I have. I am obviously interested in seeing it because BC Classic, the original Classic, and Burning Crusade were the only two expansions that I never really got to play. Now, I have said I've been playing this game since I was very little. I played it in vanilla when I was 5 years old, but I never hit max level in vanilla or in BC. I was, you know, very young, and I was kind of a shitter at the time, so I had no idea how to level efficiently, and I never hit max level until Wrath of the Lich King. So, Wrath I did actually play quite a bit, so I probably still will check out Wrath Classic when they inevitably make it, but it's not something that I'm like, oh my god, I really want to experience it because I never got to experience it. But BC has actually been, for me, that kind of thing. I've wanted to try it. I was a bit iffy on trying it at launch. I was kind of burnt out on WoW in general, and then the rushed experience of the launch combined with the fact that it was, like, racked by controversies at the time just made me really not want to get into it. But I'm thinking of trying it again now. If you would like me to stream it, let me know. That's all I'll say on that. Obviously, we have no ETA on Classic Fresh, but I can absolutely 100% guarantee you I will be playing that. I'm curious to see what they're going to do. I'm probably going to... Well, I already talked about this in my Hunter run, so I'm not going to repeat what I'm going to say there, but I'll have more thoughts on what I want from a Classic Fresh there. I'll probably turn that into a highlight video. Who knows? So I think that they should do a lot of cool shit with it. I'd be really excited if they just basically did a Classic Plus. So not just a Classic Fresh, but a Classic Plus with all the new fancy shit, like new balance changes and whatnot. I think, honestly, they should make Horde Paladins. Maybe just make it so Taurens can be Paladins, Dwarves can be Shamans. I think that one is probably a bit controversial, but I'd be fine with it if we're getting a Classic Plus. I just want to be able to play Protection Paladin on the Horde. But I will say 100%. So if they do not add cross-faction Paladin for BC, or for Classic Plus, right? I will be playing Druid. I've already decided this a while ago when I thought about if they added like a fresh Classic, what would I play? I've already played Warrior the first time around, and that's because everybody told me that, oh, Prot Warrior is the only viable option. You can only tank as Prot Warrior, so I played Prot Warrior. More because a lot of other people also followed that up by saying, you'll hate it. You'll hate playing Prot Warrior. You'll never enjoy tanking in Classic. And I was like, I'm going to prove you wrong. I played Prot Warrior in Classic, and I fucking loved it. I thought tanking in Classic was actually fun as hell. I don't understand why people kept telling me that I wouldn't enjoy tanking as a Prot Warrior in Classic. I thought it was awesome. Because so many people kept telling me, I guess this is a minor tangent, but so many people would be like, oh, in Classic, you didn't get to do damage as a tank. Because, like, people know that I love doing damage as tanks. So they're like, ah, yeah, you're gonna hate it. Because, like, you have to focus on surviving. And then you fucking look at, like, the meta shit for Classic, and you have tanks dual-wielding swords and going for full damage. And I'm like, what the fuck? What are these people smoking, right? Like, tanks literally built almost entirely for damage by Naxxramas. It's hilarious how off these people were. So, yeah, I loved Prot Warrior in Classic. But because I've already experienced it, I would absolutely be going for a Feral Druid. Now, I would probably, while leveling, go for a DPS like Cat Druid, but obviously I would make it so I would do like a hybrid build so I could tank dungeons. But that is what I will 100% do without a shadow of a doubt for Classic Fresh, unless they do something crazy and make it so you can play Horde Paladin in Classic. Then I will be doing that. Probably. We'll see. But I don't know. That's what I would do. I just think that sounds fun. But yeah, obviously that's like way off. So, aside from like the BC thing, obviously, like I said, if you want to see me stream it, let me know. That would probably be a few weeks from now at the earliest. But I do want to gauge people's opinion on that. But Classic is obviously a very far off thing. But it was an announcement, so I did want to talk about it. Now, I'm going to talk about what other types of content I'm going to do. So, first of all, I do want to basically give this disclaimer. And I know I'm putting this disclaimer at the end of the video because we are reaching the end of the video. I'm nearing the end of basically everything that I have to talk about. It's still going to go on for like a decent amount. You can see how long the video lasts, right? But this is like the last overall topic that I have. So, the content schedule. Now, if you've noticed, I've been doing daily uploads for about 2 weeks now. I am happy with how this has gone. I think there's been a bit of friction, right? Some people are like, I haven't directly had this, but I've definitely, my subscriber count has fluctuated, so I'll take this opportunity to say, once again, if you enjoy the content, I would absolutely appreciate it if you could subscribe. I could sit here and do the, oh, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell so you get notifications, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't care about that. To me, the subscriber metric is more of an approval metric, right? When I see that I'm losing subscribers, that is like a signal to me that people aren't liking the new type of content. So, I mean, if you're watching this far, and you like this type of content, to me, if you subscribe, it's more of just a way of saying, hey, I enjoy this content, keep doing more. So that would mean a lot. I would definitely appreciate that. Now, as far as continued content plans, I have, at this stage, already videos for the next week on YouTube ready to ship at any moment. I've created the thumbnails for them, written the descriptions. I could hit publish at any time. As I've said, I am very, very, very far ahead in terms of content. What you will be seeing going forward is tomorrow I'm going to be putting out a video called Why WoW's New Player Experience is Awful. And the problem I have with that video is I stand by every single point that I made. But some of the points that I talk about, which, for the record, I recorded a week ago, are now being fixed in the new patch. Well, I guess the thing is, it's not going to be for another, like, month or two, right? So, they're still relevant today. But the issue is, they will be irrelevant the moment the patch comes out, and we've already heard that they're changing. Now, some of the stuff they still haven't fixed. I still think Korthia is shit. I still think that Torghast has a lot of problems, which is why I will be making a Torghast video, a video talking about the design problems that Torghast has, because I think that nothing that we're seeing here addresses why Torghast is not fun. Letting you level alts is a huge step in the right direction, but it's not perfect, and I will still be making a video talking about that. When that will come out, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Fuck, I wasn't paying attention. I have mentioned before that I'm gonna make a video on Covenants. At this stage, I've canceled that video. I honestly see, well, 1 second, my cousin has just messaged me. What, are they all waiting for me? Guys, what? It's not my job! Oh, I guessed correctly. My cousin messaged me. He's like, Legion time walking! And he's like, oh, they finally did it! They pulled the ripcord! It's like, yeah, I know. So I'm letting him know I'm recording. Just so I can tell him after. But anyways, so... why is my dog freaking out? I'm gonna guess that it's this pattern. Nope, it's the other pattern. Okay. So, lots of issues with Torghast, right? The problem with the Covenant one is basically, at this stage, almost every single problem that I have with Covenants has been addressed. Covenants are by far one of the biggest things that they've changed, and one of the easiest solutions is making it so you can swap between them. At that point, balance is no longer a concern, and conduit energy being gone. I mean, honestly, there's, like, what could I even complain about at this point? There's just nothing. I really don't have any argument that I can make as to why Covenants are still a bad system. Now, in terms of conception, Covenants were a poorly conceived system, sure. But the changes they're proposing now do, by and large, fix Covenants. Are they perfect? No. But I really do not have any other problems with them. The most I could say is that I think they should be balanced a bit. I think that Soulbinds probably should be balanced a bit more. I think that, honestly, I still dislike how conduit upgrading works, but admittedly they have addressed issues for that. Now, like, the upgrading is a bit more lenient. So, I mean, yeah, I don't see what I could do in a video about Covenants that they haven't already addressed. So that video is scrapped. I mean, I guess it's like, unfortunately, because I know some people probably were looking forward to that, but, I mean, it's fortunate in the sense that I have no need to make that video because they went ahead and made all the changes I would have asked for. So cool. That's great. There's probably one or two more things I'm still going to make design videos on. I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, Torghast is a big one. But I think maybe what I might do is something just a problem with systems in general. System Blue, maybe. I could title it that. With the problem with having so many things to progress through, such as domination sockets, legendaries, covenants, all this stuff. I think on their own, none of those things are necessarily a problem, except domination slots. Domination slots are trash. We all know this. But when you combine it all together and you have to deal with all this bullshit, that's where I think you start to have a problem with it's a massive bloat of systems and nobody wants to deal with it. So maybe I'll do a video on that. I'm not 100% sure. As far as the content going forward, like I said, there's going to be the mage video. So one of the things that I'm doing in that video... Oh, it's... Right. Whoops. Well... one of the things in the video tomorrow is, I said it's going to be called WoW's New Player Experience is Awful, and what I'm going to be talking about is how my progress on my mage went, why I decided to unfortunately cancel the mage challenge, and as a result of canceling the mage challenge, I've decided to do it again, a revised version, on a survival hunter, which I think kind of makes up for it, right? Because a survival hunter is like the ultimate challenge to do that on. So basically, obviously I'd recommend watching that video. I'll go into more detail on exactly how it went. But TLDR, Mage Challenge is cancelled. Then I am having one more video after that, which is going to be a highlight video, but it's going to talk about why I think that people underrate the preparation of speed leveling consumables. And how everybody acts like, oh yeah, speedrunners spend all this time prepping all these items for a run, and... What are they doing? Guys, come on, it's this one. There we go. So, I basically have a highlight where, I mean, if you watched the Mage speedrun, it was at the end of part 3, you probably remember that. If you haven't, then yeah, check that one out. Basically, it's kind of me addressing the common misconception that prepping consumables is a time loss. It's not. It absolutely is worth it. And the reason that I'm making that a highlight is because that was basically the inspiration for my budget speedruns. That kind of inspired me to do these things to make it so, oh yeah, people can see that even if you do prep consumables, it does save time. And then, the day after, we're going to have the Hunter budget speedrun. I'm happy with that. I thought it went well. It took me... I got another Miss Color Ocarina. Huh? Interesting. Yeah, so I'm happy with that run. It took me about 7 hours, which is like roughly 1 hour longer than it usually does. But I included in the time the amount of time it took me to buy consumables, which was around 15 minutes. So realistically speaking, I did not lose that much time. The consumables did not matter that much. I thought it went well. And I was playing Survival Hunter. So overall, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I love Survival. I think Survival is a blast to play. And as a result, like I said, I'm continuing the challenge, which the first part of that challenge, obviously, it's a challenge where there's like no set time on it. I need to get Keystone Master and AOTC. But how do I document that challenge, right? Like, it's kind of a free-form thing. So what I decided to do is just... Oh, nobody can kick that. I was in the middle of Convoke. Whoops. The way I'm handling that challenge, obviously, like, I don't talk about this during any of the runs, because at the time of recording the runs, I wasn't really sure how I wanted to handle all of that stuff. But I have thought about it, and I am going to make it so I'm basically going to do infrequent uploads or sometimes frequent uploads. It really depends on how much progress I'm making. Now, I might go an entire week uploading no progress on the Survival Hunter. You might not hear anything. And then the next week, you might get 2 different videos about my progress on the Survival Hunter. And the problem is, like, right now, it had... Ah! Dumbass! So, the time I leveled the Survival Hunter was... It was around... around, like, here, I think. No, wait. Was it? Oh, right, it was sometime around here. I forget exactly when. But I leveled the Survival Hunter, then I did a bunch of weekly stuff on it to get it ready, and so far this week, I haven't done anything on it. Well, I've done Korthia dailies, right? So I've done Korthia dailies, I've done callings, I've done basic stuff that obviously I would not include in a video. But I've made absolutely no progress towards pugging Sanctum of Domination. I've made no progress towards pugging Mythic Plus. I will probably do a normal run, maybe this weekend, and I will do some Mythic Plus keys, just so I can get a bit of extra gear. But it's not going to be enough content to fill an entire video. Now, that said, I did have enough content to fill an entire video of week 1. So, the schedule is going to be... Obviously, today, you had the I Got Ganked While Speedrunning video. This is when you're watching this. Well, if you're watching it, this is the day it came out, right? So, it's coming out today, on Saturday. Sunday, this is going to be the Mage video on why I quit the challenge. Monday, highlight video talking about why are speedrun leveling consumables worth the time it takes to prepare. It's going to be the Hunter speedrun, not Trial of Style. Can't click on the day, you can just click on Trial of Style. Hunter speedrun. Then Wednesday, we're going to have part 1 of documenting my Hunter journey at max level. Survival Hunter journey at max level. So this is going to be when I pick my covenants. I do a lot of the basic prep. I talk about how frustrating Renown catch-up is, which... Admittedly, they haven't really done a lot in the changes to alleviate. Renown catch-up is still kind of a big pain point. They are making it so you can skip, like, the campaign, I guess, so that's nice. And then I also have a lot of stuff in here about basically me just ranting about content, or ranting not about content, about, like, what kind of content I'm going to be doing going forward. And talking about how I'm kind of frustrated with my current guild. That obviously happened like a week or 2 ago, so it's like a bit iffy. We'll see. I need to still do some thinking on exactly what I want to do in that regard. It's tricky. But either way, that video will be coming out then. I think it's good. I think I talk about a lot of interesting stuff. It's only like an hour and a half, so it's not even like a full length like speedrun type thing. So it's an hour and a half. Basically, you can think of it as like a speedrun light, because it's like my normal speedruns where I'm doing content and talking, but it's not the full 5 hours. It's just a good hour and a half of me doing content, talking about the content I'm doing and my thoughts on some of the catch-up systems, and then me doing Torghast while talking about my plans for content going forward. And that's why I'm gonna end here, but I'm still gonna talk before I do this. I'm just not gonna queue for another dungeon. I want to talk about my actual plans for content going forward. This won't take too long, but I kind of addressed that in the upcoming Hunter run. So on Wednesday, on this Hunter run, I'm going to talk about, oh, this is what I'll be doing for content. That is no longer accurate as per this announcement, but I recorded it like sometime over here, so it's like whatever. I can't predict the future. Now, for the days after this run, I have multiple highlights set up. The highlight that was initially going to release on Saturday, the day that this is going live, will be pushed to probably Friday. I was gonna do, it was just a clip of the Mage Part 4 speedrun. I thought it was pretty funny. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed making the thumbnail for that one. That'll be on Friday, so a week from the time I'm recording this. The one on Thursday is going to be interesting. So I'm actually doing something a bit interesting for the highlight on Thursday. I highly recommend checking this particular highlight out, because this is the first highlight I'm doing that is actually not featured in any of my other videos. So for the Hunter at max level, like, I believe this video will be called Starting My Survival Hunter Journey. Now, for this video, I recorded hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of footage. And then I edited it down, hard word to say fast, to an hour and a half. But there was a lot of content that just hit the floor, the cutting room floor, right? Because I wanted to basically give a concise analysis of everything important. I cut out a lot of the like rambly bits, a lot of the unimportant stuff. And one thing that I cut out, just because it wasn't really important to the context of that video, was I cut out one of the normal Sanctum of Domination boss fights. And during that boss fight, something pretty funny happened. And that does not feature in this video, but it was a clip that was taken from the footage I gathered for this video. And I decided to just take that segment, that one part of that boss fight, and turn it into its own highlight clip, which will be going up on Thursday. It's not even that long. It's 38 seconds long, I believe. And it's, in my opinion, funny as fuck. I'm really happy with how that one turned out. Would highly recommend watching it. So, after Friday, I basically have, like, that is basically the schedule for this week. Now, what am I going to do going forward? I'm like stretching here. I'm leaning back in my chair, which makes some really loud creaking noises, so I generally don't like to sit in this chair, because like every single time I move around, it's like creak, creak, and then it like picks up on the mic, and it's super annoying. I always hear that while editing, and I'm like, God, that's so annoying. I need a better chair. So what I'm going to start doing the moment the PTR hits on Tuesday is I'm going to start recording leveling testing. So I'm going to do Torghast, assuming this is all up there. Now, obviously, they've said PTR is going live. They have not confirmed whether all of these things will immediately be available on PTR. The first thing I'm planning on doing, because a lot of my friends that are actually still playing the game right now are friends that I've had since Legion. Like, I raided with them in Legion. We did keys in Legion. Those are a lot of the friends that I've still been playing with. So the moment that the announcement came out today, they were all like, fuck yeah, Legion Mythic Plus, let's go. So I immediately was like, all right, boys, like, the moment that PTR hits, we're downloading that shit and testing Legion Mythic Plus, right? And they were all like, hell yeah. So Tuesday, obviously I will not be uploading it Tuesday because I have to get the footage, edit it, and then, you know, do a lot of testing, right? So it's going to take me probably multiple days of testing, multiple days of, like, figuring stuff out. I'm probably going to, like, you know, try to basically do my plan is, obviously I have no idea how it's going to go, but I'm going to do basically like one video on just how the thing actually went, like a bit of uncut footage of like doing the dungeons themselves. And then after the fact, after I've done a lot of research, I'm going to upload a video basically saying, what is the Legion Mythic Plus like? How does it play like? How is it tuned? Do the reward scale? Which dungeons are available? Also, is it efficient for leveling? I'm going to analyze that too. I'm going to do all of that probably in a concise scripted video. I'll put that up. I like to do videos like that. I like to do the freeform ones where I just get to like talk, have fun, uncut footage, fun stuff. And then the nice, concise 20-minute scripted video where I basically just go boom, boom, boom. Here's all the information you need to know. So, gonna do that. I'm also going to look at the leveling changes. So, I'm obviously going to check out Threads of Fate. I'm going to see how big of a difference the experience is for Threads of Fate. I'm going to see how efficient world quests are, how efficient dungeon leveling is. I'm going to see how efficient Torghast is. Now, Torghast is interesting because I've thought about this. And if Torghast ends up being a really efficient way of leveling, I have not seen super great Torghast guides. There are okay Torghast guides, but if I made a one-stop shop leveling guide for Torghast on this is the stuff to look out for while leveling in Torghast, right? I mean, not only do I think that would do well, but I think it would be a valuable resource for a lot of people. So I will be doing that. I will be looking into Torghast. I can't exactly say how much content I'm going to make of that because it really depends on how much information I'm able to get. If I'm able to find a lot of information on Timewalking and changes and Torghast and stuff, you'll see a lot more videos about that. Now, like I said, the earliest you can expect that is like maybe Friday, Thursday or Friday. If, let's say, if I go in on Tuesday and my friends and I find that like Legion Mythic Plus is like insane and we find a lot of really cool stuff, I'll stick to the Wednesday upload of the Hunter thing. But I'll basically try to get as much footage as possible, then edit it together, and then have that video up Thursday. If that's the case. If I don't find anything groundbreaking and it's just more having fun, testing the content, seeing how valuable it is and stuff, you're probably going to see it on Friday or Saturday. Maybe I'll bump this highlight back because it's not super special. We'll see. But that's the plan for that. I'm going to do a lot of PTR testing. You're definitely going to see a lot of different videos. You're going to see at least one video on Legion Mythic Plus, at least one video on Legion Timewalking, at least one video on Torghast, and at least one video on just general Threads of Fate. So those are 4 videos you can expect. Now, other stuff. Streaming. I've talked about streaming. So, one of the other things is streaming especially is tricky. Starting on Tuesday, I go back to college. So, my final year of college starts. The semester starts on Tuesday. And that is problematic, because I do not have as much time when I have to juggle college. And especially this semester, they're finally doing in-person again, which I think is retarded, because now you have the Delta variant going around for COVID-19. So there's still a danger there, and I don't see why they should be putting their students in danger. I mean, obviously, right, I just want to be able to stay home and do online Zoom classes, but at the same time, right, like, it seems kind of irresponsible for the college to be doing that, but whatever. So I need to commute to college. I live an hour away from my college, so that means I need to drive 1 hour there and 1 hour back. I'm still thinking about how to handle that. I've thought, honestly, maybe if you want to see this, I've thought about doing a podcast, kind of basically while driving to school, because I'm going to have 2 hours of basically doing nothing. I could basically record, so a lot of this kind of stuff, basically talking about my thoughts on different stuff, talking about my thoughts on like the upcoming changes and whatnot. I could record some of that stuff in a podcast that I record with like a headset while I'm driving, kind of a thing. I mean, when it's basically like being on a phone call, right? So it's not really unsafe. Right? So I wouldn't be like putting myself or anybody else on the road in danger. And then after the fact, I could go home, edit that together, basically get some WoW footage, slap the recording on top of the WoW footage, and boom, you have like a 1 to 2 hour podcast of random shit. That way I'm efficiently using my driving time. I've thought about that. Not 100% sure, but honestly, it might be a good way to get some of these long rambles done. 2 birds, 1 stone, right? But yeah, so that's a lot of time that I have to spend, not just in terms of the time commuting, but also, you know, I have to now wake up early, get ready. That fucks my sleep schedule. Then I have to do all the work for college, right? That's important. I mean, now I need to do like my thesis project. So it's going to be a lot. And one of the other issues with this is because of like college classes and whatnot, now a lot of times during the week, actually here, let me look up what days I have class. Probably should have looked that up earlier, right? But you know, whatever. It would be good to know what days I could theoretically stream, because like I said, I will be streaming, but I need to know when I can actually do that. So... Ah, crap. I can't remember my password. Fuck. I always forget my password for college, because it's like, it does that thing where it basically forces you to change your password like once every few months. And like, I've been using the same password for everything with like for years and years. I mean, I have like 2-factor authentication and all that shit, right? So I'm like, it's fine. But for college, I have to constantly think of new passwords. And like, when it comes to important stuff, like the password I've been using for my WoW account for like 15 years, like I'm going to remember it, right? But if it's like a new password that I have to think of every 4 months, my memory is like a fucking goldfish. I can't remember it at all. Yes, this is correct. I have to like verify my phone number, verify my emergency contacts, and verify your address. Yep, I have not moved. How the fuck do I add a new address? What? Add a new... It's the same fucking one! Oh my god. Okay. God, I hate this. Edit. It's like, it literally already has my address on file, but it's like, oh, you need to let us know where you're going to be staying for this semester. What? Oh, so, okay, so I have an address marked as, this is my permanent address. And apparently, it's not enough for me to say, this is my permanent address. I need to say that this is also my address that I'm staying for this semester. So it's like, yes, it is my permanent address and my semester address. Now, you would think that permanent would include this semester. That kind of is what the term permanent means. But, okay. Start time. Okay, so I have a class from 2 to 3 on Tuesday. Oh, fuck. I have a class from 5 to 8 on Thursday? Oh, shit. That's not good. I rate at 9 p.m. Fuck! Oh, no! Okay. Oof. Big oof. Huh. I forgot about that. Shit. So, that's a problem. So much for streaming, right? I mean, not even streaming so much as... I'm just gonna be late for raid. Every Thursday? Oh, fuck me. So, it's a 3-hour class, right? My only hope is that, let's say it's a lot of these classes, what they like to do is they do stuff where it's like, oh yeah, you have like some stuff at the beginning and then there's like an hour of lab time at the end. So it ends at 8:20 and I have raid at 9 o'clock. Now, if I basically like went full on speed racer mode to get home, I could get home in about 15 minutes. Especially at 8 o'clock when there's like no rush hour traffic or anything. So that's pretty nice. But that would mean I would still need to leave a bit early. But that would mean I would need to leave a bit early every single day. And leaving early every single day is... I mean, it depends on the teacher, right? I don't know. We'll see. I would have to figure that out from the teacher. Yeah. That's problematic. Good. Okay, anyway, so streaming schedule. I also have class on Friday, so I can't stream on Friday. Probably... Probably gonna stream on Saturday. That seems good. Okay, so this is very tentative, but this is literally me thinking off the top of my head right now what I'm gonna do. Saturday, Monday, Wednesday. I don't have class Monday or Wednesday. I would like to stream on Tuesday, but alas, I have a single class on Tuesday. So that's unfortunate. This would be so much easier if it was fucking online. Okay, yeah, so... I would like to space it out by one day. I don't want to stream 2 days in a row. So Saturday, Monday, Wednesday. That's going to be the tentative schedule. Now, I don't know if I'm going to stream every day. Every one of those days. But if I do stream, it'll probably be on one of those days. Now, the one thing that I need to decide is, am I going to stream on Saturday? So what I might do... And this is one of the other things that I'm not 100% sure on, is I might... So, if I stream, right, it technically is a video on YouTube. But then the issue that I run into is, should I continue doing daily uploads on days when I'm streaming? I don't know. I know this is getting a bit long-winded, but I'm having to do a lot of thinking and planning on the spot here. My schedule's fucked. Yikes. Okay, so... For next week, I've already said my plan. You're gonna see... So, the highlight that I was initially gonna post on Friday, I am now going to postpone until... Let's do Sunday. It's going to be on Sunday. The first stream I'm going to do will be on Saturday the 4th. I'll set that in stone. Saturday the 4th, first stream back. I've already decided what I will be doing for that stream. As for the exact details of what I will be doing on that stream, I will announce more in the Monday video. So, I'm going to give a little bit of detail in tomorrow's video. So on Sunday, I'll talk about a little bit about what the plan is. On Monday, you will see more information on what I will be doing on the first stream. And I'm also going to put up a poll for something within the stream. I won't say what. I'll leave that to be a surprise. But I'll let you know. First stream, the 4th. So, September 4th, first stream back in... God knows how many months. It's been like literally over 6 months, I think, at this point. Half a year. It's been a fucking while. But it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be pretty cool. Now, if you... I guess if you like watching the runs, hopefully you'll enjoy the stream too. It's going to be the same thing, except instead of talking to myself, I'm talking to people in chat, right? So, should be enjoyable. Then I'm also going to go ahead and say, tentatively... Monday, I will probably do another stream. Probably. Well, this is tricky. So I just realized Darkmoon Fair starts on Sunday, the day after I'm starting streaming. Okay, so I will say this much. The stream on the 4th, it's going to be a leveling stream. I am going to be leveling a new character. I think it will be exciting, and if you want to know why it'll be exciting, I recommend you check out that video. But it is going to be a leveling stream. So now suddenly I'm sitting here like, wait, maybe I should do the stream on Sunday. But at the same time... Oh, and I should say the stream will be at reset. It'll be at 11 EST. So, reset time on East Coast. Basically, yeah, a daily reset time in North America is when the stream will be. 11 EST on... Fuck. Should it be Saturday? See, this is tricky. Okay, so... I'm not going to make a habit of this. Saturday the 4th, 11 EST. I'm going to stream. Sunday the 5th, 11 EST. I'm going to do another stream. Monday the 6th, 11 EST. I'm going to do yet another stream. 3 days in a row. And Tuesday, the 7th, I am going to do a stream. 4 days in a row. I'm committing to that now. Oh boy. Now, oh wait, not Tuesday. Shit. Wait, no, yeah. Yes, Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday. Okay, wait. Hold on. Actually, I need to check something. I need to make sure I'm not crazy. TCNJ, client schedule. I need to figure out what the fuck my college is doing for Labor Day. I'm pretty sure... Okay, so 2021, first day of class, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yes. So on the 7th, I have Monday classes. So I have no class on the 6th. Then on the 7th, I have Monday classes. But I have no classes on Monday, so that just means I don't have class on Tuesday. So yeah, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. 4 days in a row I'm going to be streaming. Now, just to be clear, I am not going to make a habit of this. What I will be doing going forward is every single Saturday, Monday, and Wednesday I will be streaming, but not the 8th. Not the 8th. I will be taking a break off then. You will likely see another PTR video at that point, and then I will resume with the regularly scheduled highlights. Now, I'll need to think about what I want to do in terms of uploads to go along with the streams. I'll probably keep doing them, but then I need to consider how I'm going to do that. Anyways, that is what I'll be doing for streams. Now, as for the contents, like I said, if you want to know what I'm going to be doing for Saturday, it's going to be a leveling stream. More details to follow on Sunday. And on Monday, I will talk about what I will be doing. And then all I will say for part 5 is it is a continuation of the leveling stream. And then on Monday, it is going to be another continuation of that same stream, but not in terms of leveling. That'll be reset stuff, I guess. Or before reset stuff of the character that I'm leveling, getting it some stuff at that point. Now, Tuesday, I don't know how long I'm going to be streaming on Tuesday. In fact, I very well might just do some stuff for reset and then hop onto PTR, depending on how much I'm enjoying PTR at that point. We'll see. Honestly, the only reason I'm going to be streaming on Tuesday is just because since I don't have class and it's reset, I might as well just for fun kind of a thing. So that's what I'll be doing. That is the schedule for those 4 days. Then I will have one more stream on Saturday, the 11th. And then I guess on Saturday's stream, I will give more information about what I'm going to be doing going forward. As for what I'm going to do today, I have a very vague idea, but I am not 100% sure yet, so I don't want to confirm it. The videos here, you can expect a mix of highlights, Hunter stuff if I have it ready, or PTR testing. So pretty straightforward. One last thing, and I did say this in the Hunter Torghast rant kind of thing. I am soon, and this is what I was going to do today until I decided to do this impromptu speedrun, I am going to start doing Total War Warhammer 2 videos. They will not be super frequent, they will not dominate my channel, but they will be a one-off thing. I'm not sure if you'll be seeing one soon. You might be seeing one soon, depending on how fast I am at actually getting it done. But one thing that I've always been interested in is trying to do, on Legendary difficulty, because that's the difficulty I like to play on, trying to do lowest turn time speedruns for Total War Warhammer 2. Because I think that, timed, actual running timer kind of thing, speedruns of a strategy game like that are kind of pointless, right? A lot of times the really efficient strategy or the smart play can sometimes take you a while to pull off. Not everything is just like, yeah, you rush headfirst into battle and just really do well, right? Like sometimes you need to be very slow and methodical for like a bigger payoff later. And I like having to think ahead and do a lot of that stuff. And I think a good metric for that is least turn times, because least turn times is still a fast way of going through it, but it gives me time to sit there and think over my decisions and think like, how do I want to approach this, instead of having to just constantly be like, go, go, go. So that's how I want to approach the Warhammer 2 content. I want to do speedruns of lowest turns. The first one I'm going to be doing, once again, no drop time. I don't know when. It's going to be an Ikit Claw speedrun, right? Because, who doesn't love Ikit Claw, right? Obviously I'm going to say this, right? But even if you don't play Total War Warhammer 2, I'd still recommend checking it out. Personally, I think that game is amazing, and I think it's really fun to watch, because I got into Total War Warhammer 2 by watching other streamers play Total War Warhammer 2. And then I realized, wait, this game is fun as fuck. This is really cool to watch. It looks awesome to play. Then I played it for myself, and I'm like, oh, I fucking love this. So I think it's a really fun game both to watch and to play. I would recommend checking it out. You might find a game that you really enjoy. Maybe you would try it too. I would highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite games of all time. So I will be doing intermittent, very infrequent, but still doing it, speedruns of that. Mostly because I love that game, right? It's like, I play Total War Warhammer 2 a lot in my free time. So I'm like, hey, if I'm playing this in my free time, I might as well make videos about it, right? That way I can enjoy playing it and get YouTube content without feeling like I'm wasting time. I'm not getting things to upload. So I'm going to be doing that. And lastly, I will say for Final Fantasy, I have said before that I really do want to continue doing Final Fantasy videos. All I'll say is you're probably not going to see any Final Fantasy things in the month of September. I do want to do stuff for that, but it hasn't done super well when I've tried it. And even though I could try to do a similar approach to Total War, where I do like infrequent things, I would rather just focus on WoW for now in terms of MMOs. I think Total War Warhammer 2 is like so different that it might just appeal to a slight amount of people who happen to play both games. But there definitely is a bit of a divide right now between Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft. So I'm gonna not touch that for now. I do love that game. I do plan on making videos for it. But right now I want to focus on playing World of Warcraft. The main reason I'm doing Total War Warhammer 2 stuff is because I am literally playing that game for fun in my free time. I might as well do fun challenges for myself that I can make videos of. But anyways, I think that has basically covered everything. Once again, stream. First stream back on the 4th. Tomorrow, Mage, why did I cancel the challenge video? Information on the stream and some other highlight video stuff. Hunter run. Hunter information, or Hunter end of max level kind of testing, gearing, blah, blah, blah. Highlight, PTR testing, then other stuff. So stay tuned for that. Hope you look forward to it. I hope this was like a sufficient recap, I guess, of everything that's going on, my thoughts on it. I wanted to make sure that I got this out there soon-ish, because I know that I've already been getting YouTube comments asking me, did you see that they changed heirlooms? Did you see that they changed leveling? I want to make sure I get a video out there addressing that, so I had to break my planned upload schedule to get this done. And because I have now planned out my streaming thing, I figured it would be good to at least get a video out there on it. So there you go. Thank you for watching, and I hope you tune in for the next few videos. Should be fun.